Smoke on the road and silence in the walls. Somebody knows something, but nobody talks. Four names carved deep in the cold night air. A house full of shadows, a town full of prayers. The cameras kept rolling, the headlines all scream, but truth don't live clean in a manufactured dream. They told us a story tied neat with a string, but every loose thread keeps whispering things. Timelines got twisted, questions got buried, and the weight of the truth got too heavy to carry. Behind every door there's another locked room. Behind every answer there's the smell of perfume and doom. Devil's advocates walking through the smoke, searching through the ashes of the words they never spoke. Hidden deception lies in the flame. Somebody changed the story, but the blood still knows the name. Devil's advocates, we won't close our eyes, not while they keep hiding what's buried in disguise. You can seal the records, you can bury the proof, but we'll keep asking why they refuse to tell the truth. A knife in the dark and a sheath in the light, one piece of the puzzle held up to the night. But chains can get broken and stories can bend, and questions don't die just because they want them to end. The public was fed from a spoon made of rust. Trust what we tell you, don't question the dust. But justice ain't justice when silence gets paid, and the truth wears a mask in a courtroom parade. There's a cold little echo where the answer should be, and the louder they whisper, the harder we see. Devil's advocates walking through the smoke, searching through the ashes of the words that never spoke. Hidden deception lies in the flame. Somebody changed the story, but the blood still knows the name. Devil's advocates, we won't close our eyes, not while they keep hiding what's buried in disguise. You can seal the records, you can bury the proof, but we'll keep asking why they refuse to tell the truth. Was it fear? Was it power? Was it something they knew? Was the picture too dirty for the world to view? Every missing minute, every shadow called, every locked up answer paints blood on the wall. We ain't here for rumors, we ain't here for fame. We're here for the victims and the truth in their names. Tell us why the silence screams, tell us why the daylight bleeds, tell us why the story bends, tell us where the cover ends. Devil's advocates walking through the smoke, searching through the ashes of the words they never spoke. Hidden deception lies in the flame. Somebody changed the story, but the blood still knows the names. Devil's advocates, we won't close our eyes, not while they keep hiding what's buried in disguise. You can seal the records, you can bury the proof, but we'll keep asking why they refuse to tell the truth. Smoke over King Road, truth under stone. Four voices still calling from a house not alone. The night may be silent, the records may hide, but devil's advocates keep the fire alive.
All right, welcome everybody to A Crimes After Dark, and we've got a full panel. It seems like a pretty dang full panel. We got Dago from True Crime Cafe with us. We got Robin, my co-producer. We got One. Got the wife backstage. We got Essie backstage. We got Amanda backstage. Like, we've got a whole lot of the show people today, and it was almost a miracle that I got here. I had some last minute stuff that took me way longer than I wanted it to take, and I'm flying by the seat of my pants. So you may have to cover me, guys, for just a minute while I step away and get a couple more things taken care of for the show. Tonight's show is going to be a little loose. We have at least some footage to continue if we want to continue having a discussion about the Stephen Christie Gonzalez interview that we started and didn't finish. And boy, somebody actually got mad that we didn't finish that thing. Really mad. But anyways, we'll set that aside for now, and we'll bring up the panel. And Tyler Robinson's pretrial hearings were aired today live, and I didn't get to watch much of it at all. I think I watched like 5 minutes, and I was like, cool. It looks like it's streamed on YouTube, so I can go back and watch it at my own free time. I don't know what free time really is anymore. But anyways, I might be able to get a chance to watch some of the Tyler Robinson stuff and give you an update on that. Some of my team may have watched some of it. We'll talk about that. And a surprise, not surprise anymore, drop in tonight. We should have Maggie Winterton, I think, dropping in to give us an update. She's been in the Larry Miliete case that I believe is about to be handed to the jury. And so we're going to get an update from her. She's been in the courtroom, I think in San Diego, I think it's at. Now I have to get, see, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I don't have show notes in front of me, so I'm going by memory. But she should drop in here in about an hour and a half and give us an update on that case. So let's assemble the Power Rangers. And get him on stage. Dago with no camera. 1-1. We got Robin. How you guys doing tonight?
All right.
I got stuff all over Robin's face. I'll take that off your face. I think the parental advisory is okay. It's not overriding Dago too much in the corner. You okay? You okay there? Oh, come on now, buddy.
he wants it over his face, apparently.
We're good.
What have you?
Nobody wants to see my ugly mug.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true.
That's not true. It was a good day. Got some prep done around the house and all that, and glad to be here with all you folks on the panel here and our bright and shining faces out there in our amazing chats, both sides. It's good to be back with both sides again. So welcome on in, everybody.
Yeah. I did. Still doing my series Back to Basics, going back to the beginning of the case. I'm covering today. We went into going back into the 4chan stuff to see if any of the 4chan stuff relates to anything that we've learned recently. If you can find anything from back then that lines up, which is basically the whole point of what I've been doing.
Yeah, I started looking into the foreskin stuff. You said 4chan, foreskin stuff. 4chan is the same thing. I started doing it as well. I did a members only video because it was so rough. Like, I read it without any moderation, and it was rough language.
I have to stop. I skipped through a lot. There is so much, and it's crazy to me. So much racial shit in it. It's insane.
Oh yeah,
it's so bad.
Yeah, it is
so bad.
It is insane. Yeah.
And then it's good to see one back. I haven't got to hang with this guy for a while now, so I'm grateful to have him back.
I've been around. It was July 4th is finally over, so I worked like 1 million hours a week.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're back here with us, though.
Thank you.
So I do plan on covering some of the more the 4chan stuff. We've been doing it members only because I read a lot of it, including all the racial stuff, because it did come up with some new thoughts in my mind, especially when it came to other perpetrators who might have been racist, and was there a racial element in this case? Because we don't talk about that much. Was there a potential racial element in the case?
That and there's also some other things that were stated that it sounds like Dylan and or Bethany both possibly were either Snapchatting or whatever they do, or talking to people, and other things came out back then that I completely forgot about, that as far as what happened possibly. And it's a lot different than some of the stuff we're hearing now. So it makes you wonder how much of it's truth and not. So there's another thing, because I think a lot of that, the 4chan stuff might have some truth in between the lines in there. You know what I mean?
Well, that's exactly it. And another reason why I think the 4chan stuff is important is because it's very likely that somebody involved in the murders could have been trolling that board and those those kind of boards to see what was out there in the media. What do people know? Did I get away with this? Like it's possible the actual perpetrator or perpetrators, and I know there's a lot of people who think they know exactly who the perpetrator is. And anyways, but the point being is that there's possibility, there's clues as to like how did they know? How did they know about the K-bar knife within the first 24 hours when it hadn't been reported?
That was what I pointed out today. Yes, sir. That was a huge one. That the K-bar knife and the 4 a.m. thing. Like, how do you know?
Right, details that have not been released to the public.
Thank you. Like that very next day, there's no way that's possible unless. Thank you.
Well, so let's talk about. There's two. Let's talk about this just informally. It seems to me there's two possibilities. Either somebody was friends with law enforcement and law enforcement was running their mouth about details they shouldn't have, and somebody told somebody looks like a K-bar knife, and that got out into the wind through some so that's a possibility, or somebody who was there who knows what happened.
Exactly.
It's one of those two. It seems like it's either somebody who saw the crime scene or somebody who committed the crime scene to know that detail.
That's the only way it could be out there, because they didn't even release information at the first couple press conferences, like 4 or 5 days later, anything like that. The word K-bar did not come out for quite a while. So that in itself was enough to shut me down this morning when I was running, or this afternoon when I was running that. So yeah.
I got a monologue for us.
Oh, you got good, because I need to go get. I gotta go.
I gotta
put your full screen and
and you got some time.
All right.
Is it good to be alive in the den?
Always.
Monday night. Juliana, Jackson, my beautiful wife. Love you guys always. So tonight's a little different kind of monologue. So listen to the whole thing before you throw some apples at me. Tonight on Crimes After Dark, I'm not coming in quiet. Not tonight. Because there are moments in true crime where we need to stop whispering around the obvious and say it plain. Some people are searching for truth, and some people are just feeding off the wreckage. Tonight, we are addressing a conversation that should make every serious person in this community stop and think. Kaylee Gonzalez's parents sat down and spoke what no parent should ever have to speak about. They talked about losing their daughter. They talked about waiting for answers. They talked about autopsy details, leaked information, court documents, the media, rumors, speculation, and the sickening reality of learning pieces of your child's final moments from the internet before you get them from the system. Let that sit for a second. A family loses their daughter in one of the most brutal cases this country has seen in years. And instead of being protected, instead of being guided, instead of being given clear answers with dignity, they are forced to watch strangers online fight over details like it's a game. That is not investigation. That is not justice. That is not advocacy. That is feeding time in the digital gutter. And I'm going to say this clearly. The true crime community is not supposed to be the enemy of victims' families. We are not here to attack grieving parents. We are not here to tell mothers and fathers how they should act, how they should speak, how they should mourn, or how angry they are allowed to be. We are not here to treat victims like characters and families like obstacles. That is not what real truth seeking looks like. Real truth seeking has discipline. Real truth seeking has standards. Real truth seeking knows the difference between asking hard questions and throwing garbage into the wind just to see who it hits. And I'll tell you something else. When a victim's family is begging for answers, when they are saying they feel blindsided, when they are saying painful information is being released, mishandled, leaked, or discovered by strangers before it reaches them, that should matter to every single person who claims They are about justice. Because if it does not matter to you, then you are not here for the victims. You are here for the spectacle. And there is a difference. Tonight, we are not here to protect weak narratives. We are not here to shield institutions from accountability. We're not here to blindly trust every official statement just because it came with a seal, a badge, a title, or a press conference. But we are also not here to blindly chase every shadow, every rumor, every half-baked theory, every anonymous post, every poisoned breadcrumb thrown into the online machine. We are here to separate signal from noise, facts from fiction, questions from accusations, truth from performance, because that is where the line is, and too many people have crossed it. They crossed it when they forgot these were real families. They crossed it when they turned grief into content. They crossed it when they decided that a mother's pain was suspicious, a father's anger was inconvenient, and a family's demand for answers was somehow a problem. No, the problem is not the family asking questions. The problem is a system that too often leaves families in the dark. The problem is information being mishandled. The problem is people online pretending cruelty is analysis. The problem is when victims become hashtags and killers become the center of gravity. So tonight we put the focus back where it belongs. Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Not the Idaho 4, as if that phrase can hold the weight of who they were. Not just a case name, not just a file number, not just a headline. 4 names, 4 lives, 4 families, 4 futures stolen, and that matters. Because language matters, names matter, memory matters. And when we reduce people to labels, we help the darkness do its work. Kaylee's parents spoke about their daughter as a real person, not a crime scene detail. They spoke about her laugh, her personality, her humor, her stubbornness, her love for her family, the way she moved through the world. That is what the public should remember before they ever open their mouth about wounds, documents, rumors, or theories. Because murder does not erase a life. A killer may take the body, but the world should never take the name. Tonight, we're going to talk about the interview with the seriousness it deserves. We're going to talk about the pain of delayed answers. We're going to talk about the damage caused when sensitive information reaches the public in pieces. We're going to talk about the way the internet can become a second crime scene, where families are cut over and over again by people who will never have to live with the consequences of their words. And we're going to talk about responsibility, because if you claim to be part of the true crime community, then understand this. You have a responsibility. You have a responsibility not to lie. You have a responsibility not to invent. You have a responsibility not to harass families. You have a responsibility not to confuse suspicion with evidence. And you have a responsibility not to treat pain like entertainment. And you have a responsibility to remember that every theory you throw out into the world may land on someone who is already broken. That does not mean we stop asking questions. That does not mean we stop challenging the timeline. That does not mean we stop looking at documents, statements, evidence, court filings, discovery issues, chain of custody, or anything else that deserves scrutiny. Not at all. We ask questions. We push, we examine, we challenge, we demand transparency. But we do it with purpose. We do it with discipline. We do it because truth matters and not because chaos gets clicks. That is the difference between advocacy and exploitation. That is the difference between investigation and entertainment dressed up in a cheap suit. That is the difference between standing with families and standing on top of them. And let me be very clear, victims' families are not props. They are not suspects because they are angry. They are not villains because they ask questions. They are not public property because their loved one's name ended up on the news. They are human beings carrying a weight most people could not survive for 1 hour. And if this community has any honor left, then we stand beside them when they fight for answers. We do not get in their way. We do not mock their grief. We do not weaponize their pain. We stand beside them because their fight for truth is not supposed to be clean. It is not supposed to be comfortable. It is not supposed to make everyone feel good. Sometimes the truth walks into the room covered in smoke, blood, paperwork, contradictions, missing answers, and uncomfortable questions. And when it does, somebody has to have the nerve to look at it. That is why we are here, not to worship the system, not to burn everything down without evidence, but to walk straight into the dark with a flashlight in one hand and the names of the victims in the other. Tonight, we're going to cut through the noise. We're going to talk about what Kaylee's parents said. We're going to talk about what it reveals. We're going to talk about what it should teach this community. And we're going to ask a hard question. Are we helping families fight for truth, or are we becoming another thing they have to survive? Because there is a big difference. And tonight on Crimes After Dark, we are drawing that line. For Kaylee, for Maddie, for Xana, for Ethan, for every family still waiting on answers, for every victim whose name deserves to be spoken louder than the killers. This is Crimes After Dark. And tonight we're not here to play internet detective. We're here to hold the line. And with that, live from New York, it's Monday night. You're muted. Lee, you're muted.
Awesome.
Excellent job, sir.
Great job, my friend. As
Thanks.
always.
Welcome. Yeah, so I got my mic fixed, I take it?
Yes.
We hear you.
All right. Yeah, that was a lot. That was very that was heavy. I was trying to unpack how to respond or how to follow up on that.
That was a good one.
I don't see his monologues ahead of time, so then it puts me in that awkward position. We're going to play Stephen Christy Gonzalez crapping on the internet community, telling us that we're vile people for doing what we do. It's kind of a hard part to do, because again, I agree. How the family chooses to respond and deal with their grief, that's on them, and I'm not in their boat. So I try to give them the grace that whatever makes it easier for them, that's fine. It is hard when we in the true crime community are trying to just get answers and then we get attacked for doing what we're doing. So it puts us in a difficult position because I want to give them the space to feel the way that they do. But also I don't necessarily believe in just sitting by and getting pot shots at me that I'm a horrible human being for doing what I do. So it's super.
Yeah.
I don't know how to ride that line. They do have the right to feel how they feel. Yeah.
It's a very hard thing I've come to the realization of, because I say it almost every time I talk about anything in the case. We are here because of them. We're here because we saw the injustice that happened to their loved one that they lost. And so it doesn't make a lot of sense to people that are in our communities because the way they do react to us. But at the same time, we also are here to protect ourselves and our in the Constitution in itself for the way the investigation was portrayed and worked itself out. So, it goes both directions. And the thing is it's very difficult to have something to be able to say in that situation because we don't truly know or understand their side of things. Like Lee said, they do have the right to do it how they do. And I respect that truly. But at the same time, you're not seeing us for who we are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And one of the issues, and Lee said it the other night, and I agree with. People, you don't know how you would react. Like everyone says, like, oh, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, unless you're in that situation, you don't know how you would react. What I would say is, to, you know, for some, you know, the families, obviously the amount of documents and evidence coming out in this case, and there's still a ton more that has not come out. If you can't, you know, if you can't deal with it, and I can't imagine having to read an autopsy report of your own relative or child or whoever being, you know, how many times they were stabbed and all this stuff. It's insane.
Sure.
However, we do we do have the right and to look at this stuff, and no matter what they want to believe, and we still have yet, I still have yet to see, you know, I'm still not in the, you know,
it's not there.
and I'm still not in the ballpark that BK is innocent, or, you know, I know there are people out there, no, he's innocent, he's innocent. I'm not in that field that he's innocent, but I am in the field, as I think Lee is in the same, and I believe Robin as well. I have not yet seen like a definitive piece of evidence besides them yelling and screaming about the knife sheath. Besides from that, I don't see anything that places him at the house. I don't see where he was involved. Show me the evidence, and then I will believe it. But even so, even if they do have that, and they do have something that shows that, from the evidence that we do have, there's, and from what I know from my experience in law enforcement, and you have from Brent Turvey and all these other experts, I don't see how one person committed this crime. Meaning there are other people out there. So even if BK is guilty, and that's the thing that you know, it is bothersome every time you hear Steve talk and he calls you know, the pro burger. We're not pro burgers. No one here is a pro burger.
Pro truth.
What we want is the
Pro-truth.
We are pro truth. We want to know for the victims. We want to know what, and hold everyone responsible for what happened. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm watching the chat, by the way. We have a lot of people in here that we see on a regular basis. I don't want to shout all you out, but I really appreciate you guys. I see so many names that come every single night. We've got people that have been on stage with us and long time supporters.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend, like I said, I don't want to waste everybody's time shouting everybody out, but I see you out there, so I appreciate you very much. So yeah, this is a difficult interview that we've been working through. From what I've been told, and I have not watched this whole interview, and I know for a lot of people this is old hat, I do want to go ahead and start covering some of the interview. For what I've been told, we're going to cover some stories of Kaylee as a child, and I'm not sure what kind of value that'll have for us in the true crime community, other than to kind of know her as a person. The only problem with the stories of childhood, and I don't know how back into their childhood they're going to go, is as we grow up, we become very different people. So can a story of you as a little child reflect on the person you are when you grew up? I don't know. But then I heard that a large part of the conversation is going to be, again, shaming the YouTube community for what they do and how horrible we are, and that's going to be a difficult thing. Yes. So I you know, for what it's worth, let's just get at some of this interview. I invite the panel to interrupt when you find something worthy to talk about or question. You know, in light of what one was saying in the monologue, give the family a little grace when they do start shitting on the internet community, that they're angry, and you're not in their shoes, so you don't know what it's like. So, you know, a little bit of being their punching bag is okay. I understand their anger, but by the same token, I want to set the record straight of what we are and what we aren't trying to do. No part of anybody on this show is trying to shame victims or make money off of their tragedy. That is not what's going on. And so that kind of shit, I'll stand up for. And like, that's horse shit. That is not what we're doing. So I understand if you don't appreciate the role that we're playing, but don't accuse me of trying to profit off of your child or shit like that. That's shit I would draw the line on. But let's see. I don't even know what they're going to say. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
this is where we left off. There was a dialogue between the hosts of this. This came from, remind me, Robin, what's the show that we're watching? It's no. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to
Murder Unscripted.
Murder Unscripted. There you go. Murder Unscripted.
Yep.
All right, let's just continue and let me know if you don't hear sound, because you should hear sound.
You know, who's not our child, but we loved her like a child. And I mean, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh, no, I didn't.
And so your audience knows, because I don't know how much of them are familiar with the court process and all that. Discovery is basically everything that Thompson was going to take in that courtroom to defend and to go into this case. So we were going to get that. And then it would also have Ann's defense, and then we'd just all have it in one place. Because our case was Idaho, Washington, there's a little bit of Colorado in there, Pennsylvania. We were like, we
wait,
Colorado.
How the fuck did Colorado get into the case?
Is that because of them stopping or traveling through Colorado?
Did they stop in Colorado? No, didn't they get? They stopped. They got stopped in Indiana.
Yeah, but they trace them through Colorado? Didn't they follow them? And they
did go through Colorado, and they did. So I don't want to make a big deal. I don't want to make a big deal of it. They did go through Colorado, and I made a deal out of it because there was a certain family that I track in relation to this case. Kopaka's family was down in Colorado and had a house down in Colorado, and I made a point about why did they detour through Colorado, but I don't remember any stop in Colorado at all. So how did Colorado get into the case? Did Kopaka? That's my question. Did Kopaka's name get it? What is the Colorado connection? Does Essie know? I heard Esso Pipe say something.
Yeah, she was just telling me that Brian had wanted to go through Colorado. I guess there was said that there was some kind of disagreement between him. But as far as what happened in Colorado, I've never heard anything.
That's my point.
Exactly what happened.
That's my point. Steve isn't saying every state they traveled through on the way back east is part of this case. Colorado's part of the case. Why did Colorado get? I don't give a fuck. Like, why going through Colorado doesn't make Colorado a part of this case? You know what I'm saying? That is to me, that was an important little devil's in the detail thing. Why is Colorado part of this case? Why is there discovery?
Yeah, we've never heard.
That's a big one to me. Dago, you're being quiet. Do you know the answer to why Colorado is involved? Are you there? Because I don't know if maybe he stepped away for a second, but I'm really curious. How did Colorado? Kathy's Indie Zone. She's in here. She reads like where did the Colorado thing come from? What happened? Yeah, even Kathy's like Colorado. What happened? That's what I want to know. The only thing I know that was interesting to me about Colorado was Brent Kopaka's connection to Colorado. But anyways, right. So, and again, by the way, not to make a big deal out about that, but what did Steve Gonzalez say on the steps of I think it was the sentencing? He said, we already know what Brian, or no, I think it was in the plea. I think he said, we already know what he's going to say. He's going to try to blame this on a vet. He's going to try to blame this on a vet. Yes. Steve Gonzalez believed that Brent Kopaka was going to be part of the defense. And so he said, I know what they're going to say. They're going to say this had to do with a vet. And that's Kopaka. That's who they were talking about. And
right.
Kopaka, Colorado connection. So is Kopaka a bigger part of this case than they told us about? Why Colorado? Anyways, I'm beating the hell out of this horse. I think we've flogged it enough. But when I heard him say, just in passing, there's part of this case from Colorado. Where is Colorado? Tell me what the connection to Colorado is, other than what I've.
Yeah, if anybody knows, let us know.
Yeah, we got 5 new members.
Like Rhonda gifted some memberships.
We got
thank you.
Was it Davy White?
Yeah.
And what is it, Ample Spark? Can't.
By the way,
this.
Careful,
Lisa,
Becky. Careful, Becky. We can see Dago's chat.
Maggie Inertion and E-Potty got a membership.
Nice. All right, let's continue on, because I didn't mean to sidetrack us for 25 minutes talking about Colorado. But it was so weird. He just slipped it in there. There's some discovery from Colorado. I'm like, what? What do you mean Colorado's got discovery? Anyways, I'm done. I said I'm done, and yet I'm still talking about Colorado.
can't do Freedom of Information Acts and federal. I mean, we'd be doing this forever.
It would take you years. Yeah.
It'd take us years. So we said, can you just do the right thing? Of course, they didn't want to tell us no when we had all these cameras right when we're going to the courthouse. No, they lied to our face.
They did.
And then said, waited, not now we're talking to people, but they played a game, and that's why I'm holding them accountable. And people think, well, he sure is hard on them. Well, it's things like that.
This is our child,
That's it. That's exactly it.
And
so I realize this is why we don't get through videos. This is why. But Steve's point, this is why I'm going to hold them accountable. Steve, this is the same thing I'm trying to do. There was lies and fuckery in this case, and I'm trying to hold them accountable. I'm doing nothing different than you. You just don't like the parts I'm trying to hold them accountable on, but we're doing the same thing. You're saying you lied to us. That's what happened in this case. You lied to us. Prosecution, law enforcement, everybody lied to us in this case. So we're just trying to hold them accountable. That we're on the same page, man.
Yep.
But anyways.
Yeah.
And Maddie as well. And, who's not our child, but we loved her like a child. And it's just so hard to see everybody just blow everything up under a microscope, including our families. Our family itself,
I'm sure.
In our private lives, with luckily, there's nothing going on there in our private lives, but oh my goodness, if there were like any arrests or anything like that, that would
all comes out. Yeah.
What? There's an irony there, because I was planning on talking about Steve Gonzalez's brother. And they're like, well, luckily for us, there's no arrests. Yeah, there actually is arrests in your family. So there is something to talk about, which I think is funny. Like, luckily for us, there's nothing in our family like arrests. Yes, there is. Like, yes, there is. Anyways, what the hell? Like, remember, Steve didn't want the house to come down, hated the gag order, hated hearings were under seal. Also, he wanted a trial. No love lost with the prosecutor. Yes, Kathy. I'm telling you. Absolutely. There used to be a day when Steve talked a lot like us, and then something happened, and I don't know what it was. Anyways,
it all comes out,
And when it comes out with the help of stuff like AI, all these people can just make some stuff up, and now you don't have a source.
All right, you gotta stop.
Wait.
I see Maggie's in the house. Yeah.
By the way,
go ahead.
That line. So when in this whole interview, because I've seen this interview before in its entirety, that one line is the one thing that I do have a serious problem with. There may be other people or other creators, or there's YouTube is a big place, but there are a bunch of us that not just us. There are a bunch of true crime people that here in this chat, and Dago and other people like Lana and Pav as well. There's a whole bunch of them. Harsh Reality. There's a whole bunch of guys. I can't even list all of them. We are going through the documents and the actual video and body camera of officers. It is not AI crap. It is the actual evidence that is part of the file. So I don't know what he's getting at with AI, what he's talking about. It's just it's very bothersome. I don't know.
They're talking about I don't think they're talking. No, Sarah says, are they talking about the lady who falsified DNA evidence in Colorado? No, I don't believe this case. This case has not officially had anything to do with the DNA expert in Colorado that was convicted of falsifying DNA evidence for the prosecution. This shouldn't have anything to do with, because Othram Labs came out of Texas, right? I think, not Colorado.
Right.
So anyways, we do have Maggie Winterton, I think, back, she's in the house. So she was going to come up. We're going to let her give an update here shortly after she gets. We'll keep going for a little bit here, but I did say we're going to take a little bit of break for her schedule because I don't know how much time she has. So we may have to break in the middle of this for an update on the Larry Miliete case, however you pronounce it. Everybody pronounces it different. Tomato. You say that, I say this, but let's go.
Right.
Thompson didn't give us the discovery, so we don't know. We don't have anything to compare it to. So we're watching it thinking this might be real.
Okay, again, Steve. Not only did Bill Thompson not give you the discovery, he didn't give the fucking defense the discovery. That's the thing. That's the problem in this case. I don't think he gave the defense the discovery. So it wasn't just you that didn't get the discovery. It was the defense who didn't get the discovery. And that's the reason why I'm so mad about this case. Ann Taylor telling the Judge Hippler, oh, yes, I've had plenty of time to review discovery. My ass. You didn't even get some of the discovery until like a week before your client pled guilty. You didn't have time to look at all the discovery. See, I'm pissed off. This pisses me off.
Yeah, and it really, and it falls on, and a lot of that falls on Hippler. I don't understand. Like, you know, you're the judge overseeing the damn case. You hold your timeline. You know, make it mean something. If they don't, if they don't cooperate, either you get the discovery in or it's out. It's that simple. I guarantee if Hippler said, you know, within 3 weeks on such and such date, you better have this in and it better go to the defense or you can't use it. It's out. I'm pretty sure that the defense would have got it.
Yeah. All right. I apologize for a moment. We need to take a little break because Maggie Winston is here and she's been attending the Miliete case. And I've asked, and I think she'll have to give us the straight update, but I think it's getting ready to go to the jury or very close. And so she's going to give us an update on the trial that she's been attending every day, almost every day, if not every day, but she's been doing great coverage on her channel. And I started to look at that case a little bit. And then when I was watching her and realized that she had watched us, we had her come on and give an update, and we're going to have her give us another update again. But she sometimes has a pretty busy schedule, so let's get her in quick in case she needs to take off. And how you doing, Maggie?
Good. Hi. Thanks
Hello.
so much.
Hi.
Thank you for accommodating me. I do have a really busy life. So you're right. Tomorrow is closing arguments, and I think, you know, the jury will probably get the case tomorrow.
So, I mean, the $1 million question, you've watched the trial from inside the courtroom. What is your read on the prosecution's case, the defense's case, and what do you see on the jurors' faces that give you any kind of indication of how they might rule? Are you completely clueless, or do you have kind of a feeling how they're going to come back?
I think I have a feeling. I look at the whole of the case different ways, like legally, or, you know, have they proved the burden, but just focusing on what I think the jury will do, I think it's very possible it could be a hung jury.
A hung jury, wow.
I really do. Because this is, I see some doubt. I don't know if it's reasonable. I really don't know what I would do as a juror. But I think that there's a couple people who I think have listened and pay attention to the instructions and everything very closely. And I think they might take it seriously, you know, that doubt part, whereas a lot of other people are very so over this, disgusted, like done with Larry. They've started like looking at him, like watching him instead of witnesses. Just kind of like, so I think it could maybe be like a quick verdict, because it's just so much of this stuff is really like disgusting and jarring, like the things that Larry is accused of, you know, and the evidence. So I think that if there are jurors who are really moved by that, then it's possible it could come back guilty really, really fast, or it might be hung. I do not think it will be not guilty.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's good to know as far as, you know, getting a read on. I'd love to see what happens. I mean, more than likely, you know, it sounds like it's going to be whether or not one person holds out, if they've got doubts, and one person holds out against others who apparently are, as you kind of suggested, maybe have already gotten convinced that he's guilty and they're ready to convict, but maybe not everyone on the jury is. So then does somebody hold out, or do they get pressured into going along with what the rest of the jury wants, and those kind of things? But
yeah, definitely. That's a good point to bring up, is that I, on their faces, see jurors that I can't read at all. I can't read them at all.
Yeah.
So
what motivated you to start this trial and go all these days to the trial? What's your connection to, or your interest in this case in particular?
I love trials. I was a trial watcher, you know, like I found you through Idaho 4, like, so I knew about the case. When she disappeared in 2021, you could not miss missing posters. It was everywhere. Her family did such a tremendous job of getting missing flyers, posters, car stickers, billboards, even way out in the desert. I was on a road trip, like we were in Arizona, and I saw her missing poster. And it just has always felt like really close to home, because like I'm a San Diego mom, and I know that it's not a big deal, but it was just there was so many reminders all the time. And I, as a trial watcher, was like really interested in the case and like what could be going on. And when Larry Miliete had his preliminary hearing, I made some TikToks about it way back in 2022.
Yeah.
Those TikToks still get comments, and they ask me for updates. And I'm like,
yeah,
whoa, like people are searching on TikTok and probably elsewhere, and they can't find the information. I need to step up and do this. So that's awesome.
Why. Awesome.
That's great.
Well, I love that I love what you do. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of your trial coverage, but you're very thorough. You give updates about how people are looking and what they're wearing and what the attitudes are and what the major points of the day are. So, and I know a lot of people love that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate what you do. Hope you'll find another thing to get involved in after this one. And I hope that, well, I guess I don't know, and I don't even want to have you say necessarily, unless you want to, whether you have a dog in the fight. Like, do you care which way the verdict comes out? Do you feel emotionally invested in how the verdict comes out?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, because I think I do care for Maya so much, and I want justice for her, but I also think that everyone deserves a fair trial. So like for me, it's like there is two sides, and a lot of people don't like that about me, that I look at the other side. I think Maya deserves justice, but I don't know what that justice is. And I want it to be the right, truest justice.
Welcome to the club. I'm one of the people that like to look at both sides of the equation, and if people question if that's true, then why aren't you looking at both sides of the equation on the BK case? Is I find mainstream media is dug in on one story and one side order, so I have to present the other side of the story to look at the other side, right? Like I could look at their side of the story, but they're already covering that quite well. Like the whole nation's covering one side of the story, one side. So somebody has to speak up, and it's not just me. There's other YouTubers like Dago, for example, on here, and my whole team and other YouTubers. But you know, I feel like we're a small group trying to present there's more than one side of this story, because one side is being told really to America. And anyways, I want to give you a last chance to say any of the updates you have. We got to get back to this other interview real quick, but I wanted to give you a chance to give us an update and and anything else you want to tell us about the trial.
It was just, you know, a wild ride, and I was grateful to be able to be there. I did, you know, minute by minute live updates. If there's another big trial like this in San Diego, I will do it. It was an enjoyable experience to do this, to contribute to, because no one else is doing this. No one else here is doing the minute by minute live updates.
And, that's awesome. Yeah.
And trying to be non-biased. So I just hope maybe some people will like find my channel and like, you know.
Yeah. And in fact, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to put you a big screen because that'd be easier for people to read. Malete trial on X. So if you want to follow her on X, and then Maggie Winterton on YouTube, check that out. Subscribe to those channels. Follow her coverage. Again, we've got the jury about to be handed the trial. So it could be over by this week? Would we anticipate that they're going to deliberate quickly, or?
I think it'll be over this week. I think it's possible we could have a verdict tomorrow. If closings are shorter, I think it's possible. I could, and so I'll probably go live and stuff during the verdict. And also during deliberations, I will try to have like updates about what's going on at the courthouse and like just stuff like that. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming in, and I hope everybody will go check her out, especially since you've got a verdict coming up here probably very soon. And you know, go check out, like, I think her coverage of the trial is there for you to go back and watch in time if you want to kind of get some recaps on how you think through her eyes things might happen. Yeah, like a ton of background primers. Like, it will help you if you're interested. It's a wild, it has everything.
And
thank you so much for coming on and give us an update tonight. Yeah.
I did put your channel link in the chat. So please, everyone, go show Maggie's channel some love. We appreciate what you do. And I'm sure we'll be hearing some more stuff from you, it seems like.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you.
You bet. Have a great night. We'll see you again.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. That's cool. And I wished we had gotten in a little earlier on that so that we could have followed it a little more heavily because, you know, that's a very interesting case. All right, let's continue on with our coverage here of this, and let's go.
What just came out today might be real, and we don't know for 24, 30, you know, we get a hold of our lawyer and say, hey, can you find out if this is true or not? It's just not a good situation to be in. And if they can do it to us with all this publicity on our case, we know that they're doing it to a lot of other families. So that's why we're trying to put our foot down and try to improve the system.
It sounds exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It is.
It absolutely is. It's completely, totally, at all times.
Job.
It's salt in the wound, salt in the wound, salt in the wound. Just last night, I read that the medical examiner was going to testify that Kaylee suffered tremendously before she passed away.
Well, we just heard Maddie didn't die right away like they told us. And so we hear these details, and
that was the
And by the way, I'll be brief on this. I was informed by a behind the scenes insider, if you will, somebody that said that they had a lab that got a hold of autopsy reports and whatever, and had determined that the same thing, that before this was announced, that Kaylee actually suffered the longest out of everybody. The other people suffered very short in comparison. So that was something I had heard before the latest autopsy reports came out. So it kind of led me to believe that the person I was talking to had some kind of inside information, because that's what they told me as well. So anyways, but it's interesting that the Gonzalez family would not have known that until just recently. That's another thing that just blows my mind. Again, how is that part of discovery? And the families don't know their own discovery in their own case, such that they're only hearing details about it after the trial is over and a plea deal is taken, and now they're hearing details about the case. That blows my mind a little bit.
medical examiner, last name Singh, S-I-N-G-H. I think the first name was Vera. I'm not, like I said, you read this stuff and people expect you to be like, oh, don't even tell me you don't remember every single thing you read. No, because it is literally just
people criticize her because she doesn't want to read it. And they're just idiots, because we're not reading about characters like they are. They're reading about Kaylee as a person. We're reading her as our daughter. We're reading about Maddie. We can't just, I can't wait to get this doc and read it. We can't do that. We're too involved in this, and it would just destroy us. We couldn't even go to work the next day. So
I want to comment on this briefly and get your guys' thought. I know I pause a lot on this thing. Oh, what's Dago's got on for a hat? What the hell happened right there? What is that?
Firefighter hat.
All right. Firefighter.
Walk on with the bad stuff, dude.
This is my
you're muted. Okay, you're good.
This is my summer hat.
Yeah, summer hats, summer not. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, what I was going to say is I was talking to somebody about this, about the whole, and I got to be careful when I say this, about whether or not the families want to read the autopsy report. And I had somebody tell me, a personal friend tell me, I wouldn't read I don't want to hear what happened to my child and think about that. And I countered with, if you're not going to read it, how do you go on telling everybody that you're full of shit when you don't know what happened to your daughter? Like,
bingo.
That's my problem. Like, are you going to tell everybody this is what happened because I was told so? Well, and did you read the autopsy? No, I didn't read the autopsy report, so I just trusted that they told me the truth. Like, I would have to know, especially if you're going to go tell everybody else they're wrong. You should know. And so that's the only question that I have. I get it. I get them maybe not wanting to read the autopsy report, but if you're going to be vocal about what happened, like, definitively, and you haven't even read the report yet, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Am I by myself on that point?
No, it's a
no.
Absolutely not.
Every word.
Yeah, I mean, the autopsy report, I mean, that's one of the main things to figure out, how many times someone was stabbed and where they were stabbed, and stomach contents and all that kind of stuff helps paint a picture as to what actually, to a certain extent, what happened. If you don't have that info, you don't know what happened.
And as a parent, I understand not wanting to.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to, I get that part of it. If you don't want to, or you're not going to, don't attack people that have and tell them that they're right, wrong, indifferent, or whatever. They're doing it to try to come to a conclusion as to the truth as to what happened to your loved one. Once again, that's all there is to it. I mean, truly.
Right. And we have to go by the actual evidence and the info that's there. So I'm in agreement that,
yes, I
know that the timeline is a back and forth thing that goes all over the place. I know Pav thinks that the stuff happened after 4 o'clock. Everyone else thinks that stuff happened earlier. I do think that the chain of events for Kaylee and Maddie started at, that 2:54
at the very least.
When that, not necessarily that they were stabbed or killed or whatever at that time, but the fact that their phones went dark is both of them, and Kaylee's on her phone the entire night. We see it. Something started then, but we also have to look at the evidence that we have. And if you look at the autopsy evidence, it does show, comparing the stomach contents, because I know that this is a big thing with the DoorDash and all that stuff. Xana did have new food in her system. Now, does that mean that she ate the DoorDash? I don't know, but she had new food in her that undigested food. So that means she had recently eaten. All the other people except for Ethan. Ethan had nothing. Kaylee and Maddie both had that green, they had that substance of, like, the liquid substance of, like, breaking down food. Xana also had like almost no liquid. It's like she basically was, like, killed while like she was just, like, in the middle of eating. So did she have the DoorDash or not? But
Well, and that's important. That should be okay. If you really want to know what happened to your loved one, that gives you a timeline, folks. It gives you an absolute timeline, which again, if you think back to when this first started, Mabbott gave us a timeline of noon. Okay. We all know that's not the timeline. So that's why everybody has wanted to read. They make this, some of these people say that, oh, they're sick. They want to know what they ate and what's in their stomach. That's not why. It's because we know that that's going to give you a real timeline as to when the crime was committed, which is important. It should be important to everybody. Okay. Because that'll tell you if it didn't happen when Brian was there, guess what, folks? It wasn't Brian. It can change everything.
What we're asking for from any family of any victim of any case that we cover, okay, at least for the people that are on this screen right now and many of the other YouTubers in the true crime community, is don't lump us in with the people who are just clickbaiting, who are out here. Try to get to know us maybe a little. Like don't just judge us.
Just a little.
Right. Try
a little,
to get
yeah.
to know us. Watch us so that you can see the ones who really are interested in actual truth and justice. And I don't mean that as a cliche. I mean that as that is what we are here for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, you got yeah.
So don't just, please, I ask you out there, any of the families of any of the victims that we cover, whatever case it may be, please don't lump all of us in with those who are just after fame or whatever they want, attention.
Yeah, and let me
go ahead, Lee. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I just want to catch this individual before she leaves in case she might leave. Foxy, I shouted you out the other night. I don't think you were here when I shouted you out, but I'm pretty sure that you sent us a gift. I won't talk about what it was, but I believe you sent us a gift, and I wanted to say how much we appreciate the gift that you sent us. So I wanted to thank you personally. I'm pretty sure it was you, Foxy Rose, that sent it to us. If it wasn't you, you can fess up and say, it wasn't me. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but I think it was you. And so thank you, by the way. And I wanted to give you a personal thanks rather than have you miss it because you weren't here last time I shouted it out. Go ahead.
We have tons of people, lawyers, first responders. Dago's retired first responder. Myself, some of us have dedicated part of our life or a large part of our life. I'm still working for public service, and I'll be the first one out on here. And I have from different things that have come up. Just because I am law enforcement doesn't mean I give them a blank, a carte blanche that they could do whatever they can want. Whatever they do, whatever they say, I defend them. I'm actually one of the first people. I'll call them out right to the fire right away if they're wrong.
Absolutely.
Real quick, obviously, we have to address this fabulous donation. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Hottie JG, how do you decide what is? That's amazing. Yeah. By the way, I think that's probably one of the biggest we've received. Thank you. How do you decide what is manipulated or not? Isn't it funny that Connor, who get all the body cams and interviews, his PayPal shares name with the man who researched lucid dreams? Coincidence? That's interesting. Yeah, that sounds like something for my Beyond channel where I talk about things a little bit of that kind of nature. But thank you so much for the question. And that's one of the things that I struggled with when I'm talking about some video or some documents that I want to cover for tomorrow in this case. And I thought, well, everybody's tearing apart every interview. Anybody that's even remotely tied to this thing, we're tearing apart every little interview that's said. So I'm going to dig into something as well. But anyways, yeah, that's a great question. And thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for supporting the channel as well. And I wanted to point out one thing more about the Steve thing, and it bothers me. And again, I understand for Steve and Christy, they believe they know exactly what happened. I believe they know exactly what happened, but they also know, in my opinion, that Dr. Turvey thinks that the crime was committed by more than one person using more than one weapon. So when the autopsy report comes out, there's not just a little part of you that wants to read and see why that expert would say that. Are you literally just going to say, I don't need to know what happened. I know what happened. They told me what happened, and you're not going to go want to read. Like, again, the idea that we don't want to read that. Like, how do you not want to read that when you know that an expert was saying multiple weapons were used and it's multiple perpetrators? Are you literally going to say, I don't need to read it? They told me what happened in this case, and that's good enough for me? Because that makes me question then a lot of things you say. If your logic is, I was told this is what happened and I just believe it. And that's fine. If that's where you want to live, you were told it, so you believe it, that's fine. But I feel like that's a change, because I feel like you didn't trust everybody in the beginning, and now all of a sudden they just told you it's that way, so you believe it. Like, I don't know.
They're challenging. I respect it. They've challenged things to the point where they're very quietly speaking to people, such as people that we've had on our shows. They've reached out to Jeffrey Gentry, who is a coroner and a blood specialist, crime scene specialist. They've spoken to him, asked him questions about different things. So if you're doing that, that tells me you have questions against the standard narrative, or you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you're doing that, these are people that are on my show, that have been on my show. Okay. And you don't care for me. I get it. I understand. And that's fine. But you're challenging somebody or questioning somebody that was on my show. So that tells me, not just my show, but he's been on like Birdie's show and a few other shows. But these are channels that you're saying are not, you're not comfortable with. Obviously there's something you want to know that you're not 100% comfortable with. So that in itself says its own thing, in my opinion. And I get maybe there's some confusion. Maybe they're torn left to right, back, good or bad. You know what I mean? I understand. And that's the whole point. That's why we're here. That's another good reason to point out to the reason why we do this. We want you to have the truth.
Yeah.
We want you to have the truth. We want your daughter, your daughters, and your son to have the real justice they deserve. And the people that did this, okay, because it's obvious that everybody agrees now at this point. If it is Brian, he didn't do it alone. There's other people out there that are walking free right now.
Right.
And everybody should want them behind bars as well. That's the whole point, folks. And if it comes down to the fact that it is Brian, then so be it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Nobody on our show that I know of gives a shit whether it was or it wasn't Brian Koberger in the end. We just want to know what happened. And we know that it didn't happen the way that they said it did. So we just want to know what happened. And it's not again, I'm not going to get in the soapbox of that too much, but Kawanda, thank you, by the way, for gifting memberships.
Yes.
Appreciate that so very much.
Got,
I don't know what the end game. Yeah.
I was say we got Sarkowski, Lenny Moe, Sweet PB, Christy Ann, and Amanda.
Awesome.
219. Welcome
awesome.
to the family.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the family.
Boy, I don't think I've seen a night when so many gifts are poured in. This is an unusual night for us. It's so I feel blessed. But anyways, I don't know what we do. I don't know what the end game of Steve is. Why does he simultaneously ask questions and clearly still digging into questioning things, and then takes the public platform to say, we know what happened. There's no question what happened. Like I don't understand the confusion between continuing to look into it. It seems like on the back end while telling everybody, you know exactly what happened in this case.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's very confusing. Very, very confusingly.
It's very confusing. All right, let's keep going. Lenny Moe got her free membership from Kawanda. That's
awesome.
I would implore people to use a little bit of, thought patterns, put yourself in our shoes and realize, there are plenty of docs that we can't read because they're just too personal.
Yeah. So see she was going to testify that Kaylee suffered tremendously. And I was just like, because I think I have kind of told ourselves, Steve has kind of told me, people that we have talked to, like professionals have said, look, I assure you that she didn't even know what happened. Like it was fast. It was over, like she just didn't even have time to, the adrenaline.
And here's what I'm going to say for Christy's sake. all those sons of bitches that lied to you about that shit make me so fucking angry. I get it.
Yep.
I get people wanting to comfort you. Oh, don't worry. It was fast. It was over before she even knew it hit her, kind of thing. But you fucking lied to her. And then she gets to find out later, which makes it worse. Fucking don't lie to people because you think it's going to make them feel better. So now you just made it worse for Christy because she was under the assumption that it was fast. She never knew what happened. And then she was going by that. And then all of a sudden later finds out that's all bullshit, that she suffered more. So you should be ashamed of yourself, the people who lied to her and told her that it was quick and instantaneous.
That's part of the thing I don't quite understand, Lee, is because they were lied to from day one by Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police, the FBI, and the state of Latah County. Okay. Yeah. And these are the people that they're trusting in to continuously to have done the right thing. They stand by them. And we're exposing what they've done wrong every day, and they don't seem to grasp that.
Yeah, so they lied to you about like that. She didn't suffer; it was over before she knew it. She never knew it hit her, kind of thing. So what else are they lying to you about? Do we know who did it? We know how it happened. We know exactly how many things did they lie to you about? Because you bought bullshit from them. So where does their bullshit end? Where does their
and in my understanding too, I don't know if they mention it in here. They might mention it real quick. I forget. They didn't know, according to what Steve said, they didn't know what happened to the other kids as well. So they were told some stuff about Kaylee, but they weren't told what happened to Ethan, Xana, or Maddie. Right? So they weren't. So how, I get it. Like, you're the immediate family of this such and such person, but the crime involved 4 victims. So in order to make a clear judgment decision on whether you're okay with someone getting a plea, bargain or not, you have to know all the facts involved, not just your child.
The Christie went as far as to ask Mowry, Mowry or Gilbertson, one of the two, hey, this thing with the knife sheath, where was it found? Is that true? It was on the floor? And he said, no, Christy, that's just them trying to run their narrative, so on and so forth. So again, go ahead, Robin. I'm sorry. It's so frustrating. I'm sorry.
I just want to say to our chat, okay, I don't know if there are some new people in here. You're welcome, of course, to the den. But here in the den, we do not bash the people on the panel. We don't bash each other in the chat. If you have a disagreement, you can say so respectfully and civilly, or I'm sorry, but you don't need to be here. We don't swear at the people on the panel. We don't swear at each other. Maybe other chats do that. I don't know, but we don't do that here. We can have a civil discourse without doing that kind of thing. So please, I'm asking you respectfully to keep those kind of comments out of here.
Yep.
Go ahead, Dago.
Who said what to who? I didn't see anything.
It's probably gone. It's probably gone.
Somebody's telling somebody told me to shut up.
You got Amanda in there. Amanda is a sniper, so
okay,
whatever.
Well,
I'll shut up then.
No, Dago.
No.
I don't know who this us is. And I don't know who Angels, Georgia, we don't know who you are or what it is you think you may know, but we don't deserve disrespect either.
Yeah. Yeah. And also,
I know who that is.
I'm not inclined. Oh, you do? Is it a trouble?
Yeah, she's constantly sending me, telling me I'm wrong and I've put out misinformation and things like that. And I'm basing everything that I talk about. It either comes out of there's been speculation, of course, but that's every channel. But she just doesn't care for me, so I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and trust me, we've already heard mainstream media's position. We don't need somebody else to come on and tell us mainstream media's position. We know mainstream media's position like the back of our hand. So we already know all the points of the mainstream media position because we live there, listening to that all the time.
Well, I would love to hear these people tell us the truth if they think they know it. If we're wrong and you know the truth, What is it then? That's my question.
Yeah, but that's the thing. What I don't want is somebody to get up and just parrot what we already have heard. Well, there's DNA with the crime scene and all these other shit that we've heard. Like, I don't need to hear another version of the same shit we already have heard a million times.
Right.
But anyways,
Lynn was going and this and that.
I imagine that gets in the, I don't really know how to put this eloquently, but it gets in the way of healing, because you have a version in your head. You've absorbed the truth as you know it. And that's what you're using to kind of build yourselves back up. But then the new stuff comes out and it has to change everything you thought you knew, or maybe things you didn't want to know.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
It's kind of how you've also dealt with the scab, dealt with the wound. And then when you realize that you were lied to and you went to bat and you did interviews, and now people say you're lying because you're defending something that was told to you. We were first told that they were passed out, that everybody had been heavily drinking. They came back from the bar, they fell asleep in their beds, they were attacked in their beds, and that's what it was. In a very
and once again, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Once again, you're admitting they have lied to you over and over and over again, but you still keep saying, well, they told us it happened this way, so it did. They lied to you. You flat out said they lied to us and said everybody was asleep, and that turned out not to be true. They lied to us and say Kaylee didn't suffer, and that turned out not to be true. They lied to us about this. They lied to us about that. But I'm gonna still keep going on public things and saying, they told us that this happened, so it happened that way. How many fucking lies do they have to tell you before you'll stop trumpeting they told us this, so it has to be true, and you went to bat for them? Why do you keep going to bat for them when they've lied to you over and over? Oh my God, I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, I was muted again. Yeah. The state lied to him and said, don't worry, Steve, no matter what happens, there's going to be no plea deal. Federal or state, whatever it is, it's going to be handled. You don't have to worry about that. And look what happened. There's a plea deal. Again, everybody in this case has lied to them, it seems to be. Every single person.
Yes.
It's crazy. It is crazy. I don't get it. I don't understand it, because I truly, honestly, would like for them to have the real truth as much as we all want it. They deserve it more than any of us.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't understand any of the way it works out. It just doesn't make sense to me.
All right. Well, I mean, and again, I don't know the end game of the Gonzalez's to admit you've been lied to, you've been lied to, you've been lied to. Thompson lied to us. They didn't show us all the facts. They told us this. We keep going to bat for them, and they keep embarrassing us with stuff that makes us look like liars. And again, I don't mean to be a dick to Steve, but you know how you stop that? Stop going to bat and making public statements that you have to backtrack and make your own credibility look bad. Stop going to bat for them, and then you won't have to be the one being questioned. All these assholes can be the ones being questioned.
Right, absolutely.
I mean,
and I get it. Like if they want to, go attack people who are like, oh, this guy's saying this or that, and there's nothing to back it up and whatever. I get that. But when we're covering the actual, interviews and the actual body cameras and documents, that we're very big about receipts. A lot of the channels that we're friendly with go by receipts. That's what we, when we're finally getting that actual info. So we're not looking at AI garbage. We're looking at the actual stuff that would have been brought up in trial. And that's what we're trying to cover.
As much as we can.
Yeah. And Hadi, again, amazing donation. But I'm trying to understand what she's saying. Is she questioning why does Steve keep, when they're lying?
I think she's talking about us.
Us on the panel? Like, what does it help to ham?
Like when we all do it, yeah. What does it help to go ham every night? Does it help to get innocent people convicted?
Does it help to not?
No.
Yeah. But maybe it's not the point. But you don't think they lie to you?
Well, and that's where I think...
I wish I could... yeah.
I think a lot of people believe that... Let me say this. With all due respect, again, a lot of people have even come to me. They say it daily. Do you believe, and said Dago, do you believe that the Gonzalez's have been told all these lies? Do you believe that they didn't know that they don't know this? I don't know. I don't truly know, but I've always tried to take their word. but we've proven that there's been a lot of things that they've stated that is not right. Is it because they're being told that, or is it because they're telling that? That's where people get stirred up on this. A lot of people don't believe them when they tell their stories, and I don't see why. I don't like to say that.
Right, and it feels like this is funny. Like, people sometimes get upset with me when I'm sympathetic for the Gonzalez's, but it seems to me they have been lied to repeatedly in this case. They've been lied to, and then again, they look like the jackasses when it turns out, well, why'd you tell us this if that wasn't true? I don't know, because somebody in law enforcement told me it was true, so I repeated it from the pulpit, believing that I was being told the truth, and it's not. And now I look like the guy who's full of shit. So anyways, it bugs me with them continually telling us all the things they didn't know about this case until late in the game, while simultaneously going on a public stage for years telling everybody what happened in the case because someone in law enforcement told them that was the case and they just trusted it. Trust me, bro. We got this. We know who did it. Trust us, bro. We got it. We know what happened. Your daughter didn't suffer. Okay, maybe she did. All the kids were asleep. Well, maybe they weren't. Like, how many times are you going to keep falling for they told us something and it turned out to totally not be true?
Well, again, I wanted to do a poll, if you didn't mind. Okay, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I want to do a poll because I'm watching the chat and I've seen this before. I want to know how many people within the community here believe that the Gonzalez were lied to, or I don't know how to word this either, so you're going to have to help me with this because you word things better. Believe that the Gonzalez family was lied to repeatedly, or they were told things that they turned around. So how would you word that?
That they meaning law enforcement turned around, or
no, that they were told the Gonzalez family was told
that the Gonzalez's spun,
that they in turn spun around. I'm trying to be nice as I say it, but yeah, that's a poll, I think, because I think you're going to be surprised what you get an answer for.
All right, so let me work on the wording here real quick.
That's what I was saying.
I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm trying to get my poll out here. Hold on. Let's see.
Oh yeah, famous poll.
With all the changing details in the case, do you think it is? And I'm going to put option number 1: law enforcement not telling the truth. Option 2, families telling half-truths. Families guessing. At the truth.
Is that the third option?
Or, yeah, that's the third. And then we have room for one more. And I'm trying to get something that's worded for someone's purposely trying to mislead the public. But who do we say? Okay. So the original question was, with all the changed details in the case, do you think it is law enforcement not telling the truth, families not telling half truths, families guessing at the truth, or controlled false information? How about that?
That's a good one.
Okay, so my question is, with all the changed details in the case, do you think it is law enforcement not telling the truth, families not, should I say not telling the truth instead of telling half truths? Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Families not telling the truth. Okay, yeah, so here's my 4. I'm sorry I keep changing this, but I'm working on the thing as well. Okay, with all the changed details in the case, do you think it is option 1, law enforcement not telling the truth? Option 2, families not telling the truth? Option 3, families guessing at the truth, or controlled false information? For some reason, I got one too many characters in one of my things, so I'm just gonna do take something.
All right. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready, sir.
I just have too many characters in one of my answers, but I think you're good. Let's go for it. Fire it off. Fire it off. All right, and then we can go back to talking why that poll runs.
Fire in the hole, and I think it's important to understand.
Fire in the hole.
how the communities think on this, because even at some point there was an interview done, and I don't quite understand it, but Steve claimed blatantly, yes, I did purposely put out misinformation and asked others to do it. In his interview, he said it. Why? There was no question nor answer given to that. Now, was it?
So
I always thought
Steve himself said that he put out false information.
Yes. It was in, I can't remember which interview, but I watched it and I showed it to the community as well. Okay. And at that point,
is that on behalf of law enforcement? Did law enforcement ask him to come out and put false information out to the public?
That was never, it was never clarified. That's the point I was wondering on it. Was it that, or was it because he was doing that on purpose to try to see how people would respond to try to get truth? I don't know that. That's the problem. And that's where a lot of people have.
Everybody wanted on the poll. Everybody wanted an option of all of the above, but I only get 4 options, so I already used up all my 4. But it looks like
because a lot of people are saying all the above.
All the above, yeah.
Yeah, all of the
it
above.
could be. It could really be.
Do you want to stop the poll and go for it and show it? Talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's end the poll. All right. So let's take what do I got for statistics on my side? I've got the question again with all the law enforcement changed details in the case. Do you think it is law enforcement not telling the truth? 46%. Controlled false information, 42%. So controlled false information. So law enforcement not telling the truth and controlled information. Those are very similar to a lot of people. Law enforcement misleading the public with false information. Right. And then families themselves not telling the truth, only 8%. Families guessing at the truth, only 4%. So it seems like on my thing, and I'll let you tell your poll results, the majority of people think law enforcement are either not telling the truth flat out or controlling false information, which is very similar. What about your poll?
I got controlled false information, 67%, law enforcement lying, 29%, families being dishonest, 5%, and the family guessing, 0%. So there it is.
Nice.
Controlled.
See, and what does that tell? Yeah. What does that tell you? What does that here's what it tells you. Our audience isn't shaming the families. We understand the families not understanding what happened because they've been lied to in the case. Mm-hmm. The majority of our people feel the reason why families don't know what the fuck happened is because they're being lied to by the officials in the case.
Well, and again, controlled false info, meaning there is a direct narrative that has to be that they're being forced to run, period. Whether it's law enforcement and everybody else or just the families themselves as well. So that's something else, folks. I'm telling you, that is a big one. One. Jesus.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Freud said.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Huh. Not this one.
I thought that was important because I wanted to see exactly how the community actually truly felt on this one, and I know it's hard, guys, because it does seem to feel like it could be all 4 of them.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then again, you have less or you have more sympathy for the families, even the ones that are taking the bully pulpit, because they're only repeating what they're being told, and maybe they're being told false information. So maybe it's not, I mean, I personally say, if you realize you're being told false information, maybe stop repeating the false information because you realize you're being played. But from Denmark, again, Hottie JG. I'm from Denmark, so not easy to write in English. Okay, very good. System lied to the Gonzalveses. That makes you go ham. System lies to you, redact missing documents, manipulated video, but you believe what you got is true. So, I think you're saying the same thing that we are, in the sense that we don't actually believe that the documents are true. We don't believe. We do believe the reason why it's redacted to holy hell is because they're still hiding stuff. So
we don't have nothing else to go with, though.
Right. Exactly. The only thing you have is rumors and the documents that they gave you. The documents are the official record. So all you could.
And one of the things, and one of the things we can do, and a lot of us who we have been doing it, like kind of like what we're doing right now. Although, we're covering what the family said, but Dago, Pav, Lana, Jules, every other person, a lot of our friendly, people, other true crime creators that covering these interviews, we cover the interview and then we look at the document as well. There's a doc, so they document the interview, and a lot of these things that they documented, and I guess probably the most clear cut example that is evident that what the hell is going on here is the transcription of what law enforcement did on the interview of Dylan.
Right.
Even going with the bushy eyebrows. And if you just went by the documented interview, you would think that, okay, Dylan thought that someone with she saw someone with bushy eyebrows and stuff like that. That's not what happened at all. It was law enforcement that actually kind of pointed her in that, and created that and put that in that direction. And that's just one example. There's a whole slew of interviews where you're watching the interview, like you look at the document, you read the document, and then we actually watch the interview, and we're like, "That's not what happened. That's not what. That's not what they said."
No, and that's a good point.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
It's huge, very big, guys. That's a big problem because. And here's the thing: to back up just a tinge, I understand what Hottie's saying because I've said this myself. I've said it in my chat. I don't know how many times. All we have to go by are the documents. Okay, we don't really want to go by rumors. Okay, and hearsay, truly, because it's not the right way to do it. So we try to base it off the documents. But at the same time, as I'm reading these documents, I say the same thing. I don't even know that I believe the documents, but what else do we have to work with? Okay, that's why we try to FOIA as much stuff as we can or record request. And it's still, we've gotten documents that are not true. We know that for a fact. Okay, or video that's not true, or audio that's not true, that's been manipulated or something's done to it. So what do you do with that, you guys? That's the biggest thing that I have issues with. We have to try to stick to something as a basis. And it sucks. It really does, because we don't have anything better to be able to get. You know, we weren't there. That would be the absolute truth. You know, unfortunately, we don't have that ability. So what else do we do?
Right. And all we can do is try to call them on a contradiction, you know, or or bring it up and be like, hey, we watched this interview, and then you have this document with such and such interview, and that's not what that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. In fact, and again, just real quick, again, I'm not trying to attack. I'm not attacking Dylan, but just in her, if you look at part of the FBI document that was released, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that was redacted. Absolutely. What are they hiding? But if you go through it and watch very closely, it clearly looks like she's describing two different people. She sees someone running with high knees, which is probably outside her window. And then what she describes, to me, it almost sounds like the person in black that she's describing. It sounds like it's a female. But she's describing two separate people.
Yeah, and real quick, Lulu, by the way, thank you for the donation as well. Why can't can this be compared to any other case? No case has been as wild, in my opinion, as this. And I wanted to point out the point about what Dago was saying about the documents. I believe that they've been making mistakes in the publicly released documents. So the only thing that we have to go on is the publicly released documents. And yes, you can't trust that they're accurate. But when, for example, Idaho State Police releases a document on the 5th of December showing Brian Koberger as suspect number 2 and suspect number 1 is redacted, that's a oops, oh fuck, we fucked up. That's out there in the public now. So now that you see those things, you can realize they're covering shit up, and so it gives you an avenue. It gives you an avenue to say, wait a minute, explain that shit. Right. So it's all we have to go on. And I believe that they are making mistakes on the public released information. And so when they make the mistakes, that's the opening you have to say, if this is a mistake that's been made and it's clearly been made, then what else are they hiding? That's all we have to start with.
Can I address what Kawanda just said here too? Because this is a big point that I've been asking about for a while now. She said, at what point, at what point do we address the fact that, and this is something that's another problem too, folks, they've realized that they've been lied to. Okay, the Gonsalves will just say, and again, all due respect, but again, when they've realized, and they've said it themselves, we know this was a lie. We know we were lied to, but they continue to say the same thing, knowing that it's not true. That's something I don't quite understand.
Yeah, right. I don't either. What?
Bring us on chat.
Bring us on. We'll give you a number to call for real truth.
What?
Or don't want it. We can be civil. First of all, I have no idea what number you're talking about. Before I give you a platform to come up and do it, send me a private chat. Send me the private chat.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't. This approach is very difficult. Bring me on so I can what? So that you can spew on the thing before I figure out what it's about. Like I've already had somebody come on and show porn on my on my screen because they asked to come up and they were all like, "Hey, how's it going? Here's some porn." Like I'm careful about people that I just put on stage.
Just send us the number and let us call and we'll figure it out. Right.
Yeah. So I'm hesitant to when someone says, "If you want the truth, just listen to me." That's usually not a good place to start for us. But all right, shall we continue on with a little bit of this and see how much we can get into? All right.
A very generic form because they were so scared to tell anybody because the case was so big. They just gave us those details. So when we said it, then people hold us accountable to it and say, well, that's not really what happened.
The story evolved. The truth started coming out more and more that there was a battle here. There was a battle there. There was this, Xana situation. There was, and people were like, why did, the Gonzalez lied to us and said that they were all asleep in their bed. And we didn't even know how many times Kaylee was stabbed.
And Christy, I'm okay with you being lied to, but maybe don't go out there and tell everybody definitively what happened. Shame people for talking about it because they were all asleep when it happened, and make everybody feel like turds for questioning it, and then go, "Oh, I guess we were lied to and we're the bad guy." You won't be the bad guy if you don't quit parroting shit before you know what really happened. That's the whole problem. I have no problem with the Gonzaleses being, I have a problem with them being lied to because that's horrible for them. But the point is, if they didn't go repeat all of the shit before they knew, that would end that problem. That would end that problem. Robin, can you put our email ad? Oh, Robin's not on stage. What happened to Robin? She disappeared.
I'm right here. Yeah, I'll put it in the. Yep.
Put our email address out there. If the person wants to send the phone number to our email address, we'll look into it.
Okay.
It would be great if you tell. First of all, I'm not going to cold call a phone number, so you need to tell us who we're calling if it's not something I can look up in a directory, because I don't just cold call numbers.
Right.
That just sounds like a really bad idea. But anyways. But they have
another big donation.
But they have lies to go out from. You have documents, video lies to go from. So what is the point? It's the system for you should address. It shows how you can beat people's mind. So yeah, the English is a little rough. As far as we are. So I think the part that I understand that I agree with you is the system is what we should address. We are attacking this system. One of the things I rail about all the time is our judicial system is broken, and we have a severe flaw in our country. We overcharge people. We force people into plea deals for things that they didn't necessarily do, because people feel like they're helpless against a system that's broken and lies and corrupts the documents and tells people what happened, and they get convicted in the court of public opinion before they ever step into a courtroom. Right. This is a broken judicial system. So we do need to fight for the system. And we use cases to highlight it.
Right. And how do you, one thing, look at what, I know people say like, oh, maybe he had all kinds of different reasons for coming forward a bit. There's a bunch of people in the community kind of attacking Turvey. Listen, whether you like Turvey or not, the guy has like something around 30 years of experience of evaluating crime scenes. Now, he's not, does it mean he can make a mistake or something? Absolutely. But if he's telling you to his best of his opinion of what he saw, or what little of what he saw, that more than one person was involved, there's something there. There's a substance there. He wouldn't be saying that. He wouldn't put his name out there on the line. He's a professional. He's testified in numerous cases.
That's what I've struggled with.
What reason would he have? He's not going to fabricate. I mean, I don't like to, you know, people are experts in their certain field, but if you look at the other side, the states, you know, if you look at, you know, what's more believable, you have Turvey, and we haven't even gotten Turvey's whole report yet, but he's saying he hasn't blatantly said, he never said BK did not do it. I don't think he did it. All he's basically showing is that more than one person was involved in this case, best to his knowledge. But yet you have the expert on the other side saying that, oh, whoever was, you know, the person that did this crime took their clothes off and was walking around naked and all this wacky shit. What the hell is that? You know, I don't like to,
which makes no sense.
Yeah. Right. And I know Sutton has you know, she's well known too, and she has her history, but I don't know what the hell she's talking about.
She's been proven to be wrong. They're directly proven wrong, and it made sense the way it was proven. So what else is there at that point along with that? And I agree with you on that. I've had this argument even with people I'm close to. Eddie joins my panel all the time and swears up and down that the hair doesn't exist that was in Ethan's hand because Turvey said it did. And I said, I don't understand. And you know, I love Eddie to death, but I have to argue that point. I cannot understand how a doctor, the guy that does what he does, okay, this is his whole life. I mean, do you realize, folks, it would destroy him. It would destroy his entire career, his entire reputation.
Absolutely.
Nobody would ever hire this man again.
Absolutely. And look, Turvey has his own. He's got his whole a YouTube channel. He talks about crime scene manipulation and all kinds of different things. When he first looks at a crime scene, the first thing he tries to do is rule out crime scene manipulation because it happens so much by either a perpetrator or what he says 25% of the time law enforcement is involved, and he's very, very critical of law enforcement. But I still respect what, you know, what his art is, his skill. This is what he does. He knows how to evaluate the physical evidence, and if someone from that magnitude and of what he's been involved with, he's telling you something isn't right here. There's something is not right. We should listen. We should listen.
I mean, that he's, as much as we're irritated with the Cy Ray situation right now, Cy basically said the same thing. Something's wrong with the investigation. Okay, period. He didn't say Brian's innocent or guilty. Well, he did say he's guilty, but he said it's the investigation. That's what Turvey's saying. It's the investigation. As much as I don't give a shit what Chris Holland said, it's the investigation. So it is even about Brian, for anybody's sake.
Yeah, and
the investigation.
And again, it's funny with the Cy Ray thing. It's funny with the Cy. I mean, we're never going to get through this fucking interview. Like, we can have all month. We're never getting through it. But it's funny with the Cy Ray thing because I understand why Cy Ray probably always believes the accused is guilty. He's always been a law enforcement guy. He's always been on the side of the law enforcement.
Right.
He always believes the guilty is guilty when he comes into a case. So his opinion about, I think Brian Copeland is guilty, I really don't give a shit about what his opinion is. What he's saying was they lied about details in the case, and that's not right. And I agree with you. So in my opinion, it would be nice if he kept his opinion about guilt or innocence to himself, because of course he believes the accused is always guilty. Like, that's his whole career. The accused is always guilty.
Not his wheelhouse.
But a lie is a lie, and so let's focus on that part.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. What is this? Hottie gave donation again. Wow, we're just getting drops left and right. Cool. But it's on YouTube. We see it, but how does it affect the problem that is out in the real world? Well, that's what we're trying to deal with. We're trying to use high-profile cases. We're using high-profile cases to show how in America that people are abused by an over-aggressive prosecution system, blindness from law enforcement, and again, we've got law enforcement on our panel, so don't take it personally. But the point being is that law enforcement often gets blinders once they've decided, who they're going after. They narrow the investigation down, and they don't care as much to hear about alternate theories because it just muddies the waters. It just confuses a jury. Yeah, it absolutely confuses a jury. That's the whole point of the whole reasonable doubt. If there's other people with motive and opportunity, it kind of is something that the jury should know. But what they don't want to do in an investigation is look into things that would just confuse a jury. So they decide what happened, and then they make the evidence fit. That happens too often. And then they say, look, there's no way you're getting away with this. We've got all this evidence against you. You're going down for it. And then they accept a plea deal. 97% of the time, it never goes to a trial. Your jury of your peers never gets to hear the case. You get convicted because they tell you you're going down, man. I don't care if you did it or not. You're going down. We've got enough evidence against you. So,
and every expert that I've seen and heard, including speaking to one directly, Jeffrey Gentry, he's a coroner, he's a crime scene expert, all of this stuff. He still even said, he same thing that Turby has said, the same thing that Whitcomb has said, the same thing that they've all said. I said, Brian's guilty, but and even Gentry said, I don't see this, I don't see that, but he never looked into it the way that we have. And he did say at that point that he would be looking into other aspects of it, but they're all saying the same thing, going along the side of law enforcement. But there's problems within the investigation is the biggest problem. And the reason why we do this, I think, is what Hottie was asking, Daily, is because obviously there's problems, okay? We come out here every day to bring attention to the problem daily, because if we don't, it's going to get swept under the rug repeatedly. And it can happen again to anybody. So,
yeah, let's let one answer this question from Lulu.
Is crime scene manipulation done because they decide who to prosecute straight away? What is the point? So this is kind of a loaded type question, but without going too crazy on a tangent with it. In a case like this with Idaho 4, with the magnitude of how far it reached worldwide, USA wide, mainstream media wide, books written, there's more documentary, season 2, more Lifetime is coming out with a show, all kinds of stuff. It's not, it's not. So on a very minor level with cases that don't reach that level, I would say a lot of stuff goes to conviction rate, and everyone wants to be like, oh, I solved this case. If Lee has spoken about this a few times. I don't necessarily agree with it, but how do you rate? Like I have an issue. What's his name? The Lee, like the guy. What's his name? The guy that you saw at CrimeCon.
At CrimeCon, yeah.
Yes.
I knew who you were going with this. His phenomenal closure.
Yes.
What the hell?
I've just forgot his name.
Yeah.
There's a guy well known.
Well. He does that. Well. What is that guy's name?
The guy has a show.
Yeah.
When you have someone that has a ridiculous, closure rate or conviction rate, why is that? What is so special about this one person over someone else? Are they that much? Are they, they're so much better? They're like a Perry Mason. They solve every case. How could one person have a conviction rate of 90% and the average of everyone else is 70%? Something is not right there. Are they using illegal methods? What are they doing that's so special? But in a nutshell, the answer basically to this, referring to Idaho 4, I would say in this kind of case where you have kind of a small town, right? We've spoken about this many times. It's a small town. The college runs the town. We are still trying, I believe, put a FOIA request in to get the actual contract between MPD and the college. I believe, Lana has covered an older, like she got a contract, but it was kind of like an older one, but it's probably very similar. you have to sit there and think, well, you're talking about huge amounts of money, big money, right? That the college runs the area. They want this case solved and over with as soon as possible. They don't want people thinking, oh, there's a killer out there. They definitely don't want people thinking there's some kind of whatever Aryan Nation drug cartel executing people. They definitely don't want that. So is it possible, oh, this guy, BK, oh yeah, we have some evidence. Yeah, we know he was there, he was involved. Yeah, we'll just blame it all on him. Definitely. So you have closure rate. You also, when you get something as high as the level that this case reached, then you get to people, really high, that people who are looking for public office, like, look, we were, I helped solve this case, we cleared this case. It shouldn't be that way, but unfortunately a lot of things come down to money, and just with the contract and the seeing that the college was allowed to be involved and see all evidence and interviews and all this kind of stuff, it just really make, really see, they definitely had we don't know, we don't have any like particular document or anything that shows, the college was there in the interview, or they did this or they did that. But we have them in the back of our mind. We've talked about it several times on this show. In this case, and any case where it's like a small college town where the college runs basically the whole area, they bring all the money in, they're gonna want to control the narrative. Absolutely. So I hope that's an answer.
Get back to the interview. Somebody's like, are you guys going to get back to the interview? We got a lot of commentary channel. But let's get back to a little bit of the interview. All right.
Until 2 days before sentencing, they had lifted the gag order. And when that gag order was lifted is when we were able to know how many times Kaylee was stabbed and where. Yeah. So we were demanding to know that for our impact statements. We were like, you want to...
It is inconceivable I will get back to the interview very quickly. It's inconceivable to me to believe that Steve's been telling people details about what happened to Kaylee, and then them to say, we didn't know what happened to Kaylee until 2 days before the sentencing, and we wanted to know what happened so we can give our victim. Like, how do those two things go hand to hand? It doesn't make sense.
There's my point.
Yeah.
To write impact statements, but was she stabbed once? Was she stabbed twice? And they said,
was it more than
38 times?
So he didn't have to even tell us, but because we had, let's just say 50 different media outlets, I don't know how many there was, but a lot. He knew I was going to go straight out there and just say, we don't even know, this deal is done in closed doors. So he gave us the bare minimum. He gave us as much as what he was willing to give for a couple hours worth of just telling us what was going on.
I'm so mad. Oh my God, I'm so mad. I was there for the sentencing. Yep. Steve Gonzalez was outside talking to media, telling them that they've been told more than one weapon was used. Yep. And inside at the press conference where Steve wasn't, they heard that Steve was outside talking about more than one weapon. And they asked from the inside, hey, we're being told Steve Gonzalez knows that there more than one weapon was used. Can you tell us what other weapon was used? And they all fucking looked at each other and they said, we're still going to go with primarily it was one weapon. That was the answer they gave. Something pretty much almost verbatim. We're still going to go with that primarily. So Steve's outside saying, we just got told more than one weapon was used. Hey, what are you guys going to say about what was the other weapon? Guys, we're still going to go with primarily one weapon was used. Unreal.
And that's all we knew. And that's why I've been so hard on him. And that's why I'm hard on a lot of prosecutors. And I've come to find through Crime Common and other things, these prosecutors will stick up for each other. They won't, they won't sell each other out and say, oh, well, that wasn't done. I wouldn't do that. They might say that, they might hint that a little bit, but they typically don't want a family like ours to get so involved in a case that we can direct it. They want to direct it. They want to be everything in that case.
Steve, amen, dude. Amen. You're right. The
Right
prosecution
on.
wants to steer the narrative and tell everybody in America what happened, and they will lie and they will only give half truths and they will steer everybody. They don't want families getting involved and questioning the official fucking narrative. I agree with you, Steve, 100%. The prosecution does not want families getting involved and questioning their prosecution. Absolutely true. Why doesn't that bother you a little bit more? That's what I want to know. Why doesn't that bother you a little bit more?
I swear to God, he doesn't hear what he's saying to himself.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
I'm going to have an aneurysm.
And we're going to have to write laws because they're not going to do the right thing. They literally, when somebody does the wrong thing, like Thompson clearly did, nobody really thinks he did the right thing, but nobody comes forward and actually says it except for,
What? Except for what? How about all of us? How about all
Come
of
on
us?
now.
How about
Say
every
it.
mother-
Yeah.
Say it.
Nobody's
Jesus
going to come
Christ.
out and say they're doing something wrong. How about every fucking motherfucker in the
Every
Idaho
day.
4 case every day saying that this case was done? How do you simultaneously tell people we should all shut the fuck up and then say nobody's standing up for the fact that they're lying on this case? Yeah, every day. Every day we're talking about it.
Yes, sir. Good God.
I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
It is. Truly. Yes.
family members. If there was a lot of prosecutors standing up right now and saying that man 100% should be like removed from office, he's an elected official, he should be done, then that'd be one problem. But they don't say that. They'll back him up. So now we'll have to go above their heads and create laws that force the right thing to happen.
Well, they look at it as the plea deal was a win. They feel like they protected us from so much not going to trial, but it's like in reality, it just is all coming out in the slow trickle in the long run. Whereas this court, this trial was in August
done a year ago.
to November, and it would have all came out. The battle of the experts would have been like boom, 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 boom.
They just extended our
here's
pain.
everything.
They just extended it because now you get the defense experts, you get all their testimony, and the state's testimony still hasn't even came out. So everybody right now just has all the defense experts testimony with no rebuttal.
The opposite of what a courtroom would do.
So everybody just is taking that 100%, but it's like the state stuff is still coming.
It sounds like here's what the Gonzalez's and us agree on. Wouldn't it have been nice if we had a fucking trial so that both sides of the story could have been told? That would have been great.
Yeah,
that would have been great.
Yep.
I see.
Well, and also there is not going to be any rebuttal because they didn't have a damn case. Sorry, one more.
Yeah, I see in the chat some people talking about the knives. We don't know what knives were used from the autopsy. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they have 5 profiles of different knives that were used, and none of them have been directly no expert has said definitively this was a K-bar. No one has said that. So
no, the wording they use is it's consistent with, just like
again with that stupid consistent
with.
Shove that that line up their ass.
Yep. A knife appears to be used, so it could be any knife. Yeah. Anyways,
word salad with bullshit dressing.
Courtroom setting, it would have been like bam, 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 bam.
It's wild because I feel like this is exactly what you guys were fighting against. You fought so hard so that this didn't happen. Like, do you feel that this fear has come to life despite all of the work you put in?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what another family could do, and that's where I'm at. That's why we go to legislators, because we're like, if we have this many eyes watching and this many people paying attention, and they can still do this, and then, like I said, other prosecutors don't call this man out; they defend him.
How do you simultaneously say you're pushing for laws to help the truth come out, and then push for laws to hide the public from being able to see the evidence in the case? This is why it's in the Twilight Zone. You're speaking out both sides of your ass. We're pushing for laws that will help transparency while trying to lock down so the public can't see the documents.
Steve, you're not. Yeah, it's that is complete bullshit. All the law that Olivia pushed and more stuff that they're trying to push forward it's all about hiding the truth more. Right. So you come on and you're complaining that you weren't given the discovery, that they lied to you, and I do feel your pain. Absolutely. You're the family of the victims, the immediate family. Absolutely. You should know every detail. Every detail that you want to know, you should be able to get. Absolutely.
That's right.
Or anybody else.
Why are you trying to push legislation to help them?
Because
to hide it.
Because now the problem is that for other families who do want that documentation, at least in Idaho, families that do want to see it and read it, now it's very much more possible for the law enforcement and legal system to hide it from even the families.
Yep. So congrats on that one, guys. You did a great job with that.
Right.
Then we have a systemic problem that just has to be poked and prodded and fixed from the outside in. It can't fix itself. So
I agree.
And I don't take that lightly. I don't want to get into somebody else's business model and tell them that they've got a problem, but
and there's
clearly,
4 families here, you know, and we respect every one of the families to the, you know, with the utmost, and you know, it just goes to show that different families deal with things differently. All of us have dealt with it, and none of us are right and none of us are wrong. Some people wanted the plea deal, you know, some.
I don't know.
And no, talking negative about the victim's family members is not okay. Nobody tries or wants to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All we're doing is truly asking questions as to why they're doing certain things and pointing out the things that they don't seem to quite understand. I'm not sitting here calling them names or being mean or nothing. I always say with all due respect about them. I have always done that. Okay. It is irritating in some aspects, certain things, like, you know, that's why we get upset. Like you just said this, like Lee said, it's absolutely like on one hand, you're saying this, and the other hand, you're saying the exact opposite with almost everything. It makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
You can't be asking for more transparency and then push for laws that
shut that down.
Go against transparency. Doesn't make sense.
It does. Like that's what I'm trying to figure out the end game. I'm trying to figure out the end game. Like I feel like I'm missing something. Anyways,
people didn't.
But when you say you want a plea deal, but you don't know the details of the other children, and you might not even like us didn't even know all the details of your own child,
right?
Yeah.
You're not pleading to a deal with enough knowledge to know the totality of what somebody did.
What the fuck? Like, you've been telling us you know exactly what happened. You told us you know exactly what happened, and he's got his comeuppance. How can you tell us after you said Kohberger's going to get killed? His come up's coming. We know what happened. We know what you did. We're fucking on to you. You got your day coming, and then go, you know, it'd be nice if we actually knew what happened.
Exactly.
Well, I'm in the twilight zone.
Pure insanity.
And that was done on purpose. That was a strategy. And when I get manipulated, well, I have a problem with that. And then
just let that sink. Just let that sink in. Just let that sink in a little bit. Just let that sink in a little bit.
Wow.
I get vocal.
As you should.
Yeah. So he tried to manipulate us. He thinks he's smarter than all the families. He thought he could play this little divide and conquer. And then at the end, he'd look like he did the best thing for everyone. He was doing it for us. He was trying to keep us from pain. But we've all discussed and we've all learned. And some people were tricked. I believe they were 100% tricked. And here we are a year later, and it would have already been over. If we went to a courtroom, it would have been the fastest, cleanest, and the best way. And now other families, if you're ever put in a situation, know that you might face something similar, and the best bet is to go to court.
I guess the best thing about the plea deal is
and let me reiterate something. The best thing, he said, the best thing is go to court. Remember, one of the things I bitch about, our trial system in America is eroding. Only about 3% of things actually make it to trial. Most things plea out or settle prior to going to trial. Our trial system is eroding. The lawyers know about it in America. It's called the disappearing trial system. We are losing our juries. We're losing our court system. And I agree with Steve. It would be better if this had gone to trial. if people had actually been able to see the evidence
Yes.
instead of the fuckery and the manipulation and the covering of half truths and half lies and late discovery, and you don't get the full story, and we won't tell the victims what really happened, and we'll lie to you, and we'll use you as a fucking pawn and tell you fake information, and have you go on TV and repeat fake information and convict people with no trial.
Yes, sir.
That's a broken system.
Very, very broken. Unfixable, if you ask me.
Yeah. All right.
Years and years of appeals.
Mhm.
But, you know, we had talked as a family and we said, we will give everything. We will be every single court case through the trial. We will be there. We knew there were days at the trial we wouldn't be there. We weren't going to watch pictures of our daughter, you know, her autopsy photos be up there, or any of the other kids.
Yeah.
We weren't going to be there. We'd say, hey, this is happening. We're not going Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you know? So we didn't plan on being there for every day. And we knew we could also get up and walk out at moments if things got too hard. But we had planned to give that whole entire system 100%. And then we had discussed, we get to it, and then
I get what she's saying, and I get her saying she wouldn't want to see the autopsy photos.
Of course.
You can't again say we're going to give that trial 100% of our attention, but we're going to walk out if it gets too difficult, or if they show photos of what happened and whatever. Like, you can't, again, you can't have it both ways. You can't give 100% to the trial system and say, we're just not going to go on certain days or listen to certain testimony if it's too difficult. You're not giving 100% then. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you for not wanting to hear it, but don't also say we're going to give it 100%, but we're just not going to go on certain days and hear the testimony.
It's very contradictory all the way through.
Yeah, this is like everything that all this double speak.
Appeals start. We
were done from that point on.
We let the appeals play out. We ignore, you know, I mean, as much as you can, you know, but we weren't going to be, you know, killing ourselves to go to every appeal, killing ourselves to stay on top of everything.
It'll ruin your life,
you know,
at that point.
It consumes you. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had planned on
so we're giving
handing that to God.
And even I would agree with that. If you saw the trial through the first conviction, I understand not wanting to go every appeal for the next 30 years, 40 years. I get that. You put it before a jury of your peers. The jury made a decision. Then all the rest of it is admonition, right? You just move on with your life at that point. But you at least go through the trial, right? I can understand not wanting to go through 30 years of appeals.
Exactly.
But anyways,
for our daughter, and then the system is the system.
And then the appeal process, that's how our family looked at it. So, you know, and people say, oh, the appeals process. And we understood. And like I said, we had talked about it as a family. And we said, you know, after trial, there'll be appeals and this and that, especially if he gets the death penalty. There's, you know, one at federal level, one at state level, you know, and we're like, tie it off and say, you know what?
Jeff and I prepared us for that. He gave us a really, really good thing.
Yeah,
that's one thing. Is something I should do a better job is when I see the prosecution, Jeff and I and the AG are not a part of that at all. The AG, they were amazing. They did a great job. It was just
okay.
Just to
of course. Yeah. Little do you know. Once again, see that irritates me. I'm sorry. Jeff Nye's the one that clearly stated, and it told you the actuality of how close he was to it. That if Brian were to have filed an appeal, we're gonna kick it right back out. So big guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is what it is.
I'm still stuck on the details of this case out of Colorado shit from way back at the beginning of this thing. All right. How long do we go? Do you want to keep going, or do we?
Yeah, it could go a little longer.
This is a long one, guys. It's probably one of their longer ones for sure.
Yeah. We're not going to make the whole thing. I'll guarantee you that. So
no, I'll be drinking again by that time.
Sure. Well, the intention of this was never to pick at that scab. Because this literally just happened, I felt like I needed to address it with you guys. But the whole point of being here is to celebrate Kaylee because it's her birthday month. So.
And by the way, from what I understand, you've watched this interview, right? Is this now where they're going to get into talking about a bunch of personal stories about Kaylee?
Yes.
And how much value does that have to the true crime story? Does it none? That's why
it doesn't have any really to
nothing.
It's just more about Kaylee when she was younger and different stories, you know.
And it's nice to hear, but it doesn't commit. It doesn't. The rest of the interview, to be honest with you, is nothing that helps with the case. Nothing. Right. It's all about
the only thing
and stuff.
Right. The only thing that I would say, you know, there They claim that they're really fond of Jack still. They made a, you know, they really don't think that he had any involvement in anything, and that's their you know, that's their choice or whatever. But be clear though, we just covered Mason's interview, right? Not even a week ago. Kaylee was not. Not only did she not break up with Jack, she was with other guys. So
let's take a moment. Let's take a moment for people to join us on screen for some questions and answers if anybody wants to. I mean, we've got a lot of people that are fired up.
Yeah.
You have a link?
Let's put the link. Put the link out there and give it to in private too, so that Dago can put it on his side as well.
I know Jesse said he wanted to jump up.
Jesse Peaks or Speaks or whatever.
Jesse Schul. He's got a good voice on this too.
Okay. So yeah, if anybody wants to join us for a little bit of time with some questions and answers and vent your frustrations or questions or ask the panel something, this would be good. Because again, I feel like, and I don't mean like the whole part about cutting it short of Kaylee's story isn't because we don't think the victims matter. That's not what we're saying at all. What I'm saying is, like I said before, if the stories are a lot about her from her childhood growing up, I don't know that it informs a lot of what was happening at the house that night. So I don't know how useful that'll be for us. I'd rather know about what was going on in the last year or two of her life than what she was like as a child, because people change over time. So
I would give anything to get the previous year of all of their lives and to be able to see that firsthand, to see what if there's something there that could have led up to something going on. You know what I mean?
I'm sure there is myself.
That would be amazing if we could get information like that.
So the links are out there. Kawanda's going to join us on screen. So let's get that. Hey, Kawanda, what's going on? You got to make sure you're muted. You're unmute yourself.
Can you hear us?
Hello.
Welcome back, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is there any background or can you hear my voice clearly?
It sounds like you're in the shower. So one does it in the shower. Sounds like you're doing it in the shower.
Okay, I was in the kitchen, so
okay.
Washing dishes.
What do you got on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about Christy and Steve. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I think, you know, we as a community, I think all of us in this community are good people. That's why we're here.
Hold on.
We care about
Kawanda. Yeah. You remember that problem you had on my panel with the robotic sounding stuff with your earbuds?
Okay, hold on. I will come back in.
Okay, it's doing that again. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
So you guys have worked this out before? We'll hang tight.
We figured it out once before. It cuts off most of what she's saying. So,
and there's Jesse Schul. So we can bring. Should we wait for Kawanda to get her in first, or bring Jesse up and start talking to Jesse, and then bring Kawanda back up? We'll give her a little bit of time to get that sorted out. Hey, Jesse, what's going on?
Hey guys.
Hey,
good to see you guys. Good to see you, sir.
I've been watching your show for a while, Lee, but never had a chance to talk with you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. Good to see you.
I've been with Dago since the beginning, since prior to an arrest was made in this case. So I'm quite familiar with, I'm probably more familiar with the beginning than I am with the case in its entirety because I've had to take some breaks. But we were talking about the G's, and this whole show seems to be about the integrity of the victims' families and what we owe them as people just paying attention to this case. But I have a few things to say about that because it does seem like there was a period of time where the G's were questioning everything, thinking closer to along the lines of the way we're approaching this case. And the way they flipped on that, you know, there's a few reasons why somebody might flip on something, new information maybe being one, but financial incentive certainly, you know, and my best guess at this point has to be financial incentive.
Yeah, and Kawanda, by the way, hang tight for just a second, and we'll get you up here on stage shortly. You're right. It can't be overlooked that it is possible that the Gonzalez's got new information, right? So it's possible that at some point they saw the aha moment that was like, oh shit, well now we have no question what happened. So all those questions we have about an open investigation can go away because we now know. But it's not what they sound like. They sound like they still have questions to this day. So that's the part. So then you're right. Then it leads to what other explanation? And people have hinted, is there a financial motivation at this point? They're absolutely, whether or not, I'm not saying that they are financially motivated, but there is a financial motivation at this point. There is money now behind them being CEOs of a foundation, and that's going to bring in tons of money. And, is it going to be fully disclosed who makes what for their salary at that, as the heads of that board of directors? So you have to ask all those questions, and it's a good question.
Yeah. I was talking about it in the chat, but I want to take everybody back to the original PCA and the story that we were getting, because I think it gets lost. It's easy for it to get lost about what we were told from the beginning, that all the roommates were asleep in their beds, that, the reason that there was no 911 call is because nobody had any idea. They were all sleeping. Nobody was communicating with each other. And back in those early days, Christy Gonzalez did a live show with Daniel from Drunk Turkey. I'm sorry, I don't know what the rules are on here, Lee, if I'm
That's fine.
not allowed to mention stuff
no,
like
absolutely.
that. But they broke down the exact how the 911 call took place, everything surrounding the 911 call, to sort of in an attempt to explain, because there's an awful lot of explaining that needs to be done when you have that 8-hour delay. And that episode on the Drunk Turkey show was pulled immediately after the real 911 call came out. And the two versions weren't even close. They weren't close at all. And so one version, I'm in my opinion, was a lie. Was it the Gonzalez family's lie, or was it a lie that was told to them? If it was a lie that was told to them, they have a certain responsibility to come clean about that and explain why they put that out in the public arena, and tell us, look, we apologize for putting out that incorrect story, but that's what we were told. Rather than doing that, they just covered it up. And that's not an isolated incident. There's a few incidents like that from this family that lead me to believe that they're just not being honest actors, nor do I believe the Chapin family is being honest actors either.
Do you have theories? Do you have, and you can couch it as you have no clue, that's fine, but do you have theories about who is telling the Gonzalez's fake or false information, and then they run for it, and then they have to feel bad? Like, who is it? Is it a law enforcement insider? Is it FBI? Who's buddied up to the Gonzalez's? Where are they getting their, or is it their private attorney or their private investigator that they hired? Do you have any theories about where they're getting their information and that ends up being incorrect?
I apologize. I don't have an exact theory on that, but I did have a theory that I wanted to float that sort of ties into that a little bit. Who was it? John Podesta that said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." Is that correct? So I'm not saying that this is a psyop, that it didn't happen. Right. Let's just say that this crime happened as we know it did.
Yes.
But then never let a good crisis go to waste. And then you see what's happened since. You see the way they're peeling back the freedom of information. They're tightening up, and I guess my theory is that they're getting the families on board and giving them financial incentive to be part of a peeling back of the the rights to the American public, and the closing everything down and making this world more like 1984, A Brave New World, Big Brother, and this kind of thing.
And I want to further something you said on that. I think Othram Labs in particular was primed looking for a case that they could break in real time, right? Othram Labs had always been trying to get this solving of cold cases thing. And Othram said, we want to prove that our technology can catch somebody in real time. So kind of like on the lines of your never let a good crisis go to waste. This was an opportunity for Othram to shine. Can we prove that DNA testing can catch a killer in real time? And was there a push to prove that Othram Labs could solve a case in real time, and they could break the case, and they could find the killer, and now all law enforcement has to have Othram Labs in their back pocket, and it's going to break open the coffers? Did that possibly happen as well? I've wondered.
I think even scarier than Othram Labs is the potential that something behind the scenes, something like Palantir Technologies, predictive policing, AI just spitting out names, very much like Minority Report. And this, you know, through the FBI, we would have no access to this. But if something like this is the kind of thing that I think they would railroad an innocent man for. And very much like what you were saying about Othram is, once they become invested in proving that this technology works, they can't turn back. They can't have Brian not be guilty of this crime, because
I agree. And I think you're right. For the greater good, somebody could say, look, even if Brian wasn't fully guilty, or maybe we didn't quite get it right, it's for the greater good. Look at how many cases we'll be able to solve in America if we get this on the map, if we make everybody see how what the potential is. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day whether they got it right, if the greater good is what's served here. Look at all the cases we'll solve if we can get this on the map right now.
Didn't every dictatorship and genocide start with a concept of the greater good?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I mean,
right.
It's this whole thing has turned into one giant infomercial for Othram, to be honest with you. If you look at it that way, that's exactly how I see it.
I want to get Kawanda back up. She's been waiting patiently. You don't have to go away, Jesse, if you'd like to stay with us.
I was actually cooking my breakfast. I think I was able to get in what I wanted to get in, and thanks for having me up, and look forward to seeing you in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good one.
Jess.
All right, let's get Kawanda back up.
Hello. Can you hear me?
There you go.
Clear?
Sounds great. Yes, ma'am. Sounds awesome now.
Okay, now I know which headphones not to use.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Lesson learned. Yeah.
I just have like a general overall statement about the Goncalves. Okay, so I think like we're all here, like we show up every day, we're still invested. We invest so much of our time and resources into this case because we are good people and we care about the truth and we care about justice and the integrity of our institutions. And and obviously we all sympathize with them. That's why we're here. We can't empathize with you because we didn't have a kid that got slaughtered, but we sympathize with you and we want to help and we have good intentions. And so I'm not, obviously no one's perfect, but like at a certain point, Steve and Christy have to be accountable for their actions. At a certain point, especially now, I can understand if the trial hadn't gone and everything, but now that the trial is over, you're saying that they got the guy, you're going on a media tour, like you can't keep hiding behind the grieving parent. Because I feel I will give that grieving parent grace to Karen and to Xana's mom and dad because they're not going on a press tour. So it's like you can't, like in this situation, they can't have it both ways. Either you're gonna be out in public, going on putting yourself out there, which you're opening yourself up to criticism, or you're gonna stay off and just move on with your life.
And I don't remember who it was. I wish in a way that Rhonda could be here because I don't know if she would remember this. But when we were at CrimeCon 2026, one of the advocates for victims, and it could have been the team that was with Steve and Christy, but I'm not sure. But one of the advocates, they were saying, hey, if you want to know how to help, you can always give us donations. We love money. That's what they said. We love money. So give us donations. And I'm like, fuck, that's so inappropriate for you to be on the stage and shaming
Steve and
other
Christy?
people. I said I don't remember which person was on stage at the time. It was at CrimeCon, and somebody that was advocating for families. That might have been the people with Christy said, but I don't know. That they said we love money, so donate to our charity because we love money. And that's why I should have been careful. I'm not 100% sure it was the team that was with Steve and Christy, but it was definitely said at CrimeCon. I said
either way,
isn't that fucking funny?
It's still wrong.
We love money. We love money.
Yeah. I mean, and so like at this point, like I know there's mixed opinions in the community. Like I'm now on the Jules's camp side of it in terms of like how they're acting, because in this situation you have to pick one. Okay, we didn't ask you to go on that podcast. Like, leave us. I feel like we're getting harassed. Like, leave us alone. Like, what are you doing? So, you know, like you have to pick one, and they are, and obviously, like no one's perfect, and they were lied to. We all were lied to, but they are now continuing those lies because they want money. They obviously want money because they're not doing anything to get answers about what actually happened. So they get no more grace from me. No more grace.
And again, like, and I don't want to bash victims' families so much, and they know that. See, that's the thing. They know people don't want to even come close to bashing victims' families. But when they start selling sweatshirts and hoodies and T-shirts and merchandise, it starts to look a little fucking sketchy. Like,
it's giving Erica Kirk. It's giving Erica Kirk.
Yeah. Even those vibes. Yeah. So it's
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but
I just wanted to say. Yeah, I just wanted to say that because everyone, whenever we start talking about Chrissy and Steve, everyone's like, you know, I respect it, blah blah blah. And I think like we know that. Like, why do we have to keep saying that? Like, our respect for you is in our actions.
Yeah.
So like we don't need to keep saying that. If they are upset about what people are saying online, then they can stay offline, like Karen and Xana's parents and the Chapins. Okay?
Yeah.
And they obviously they're media hoes. They love being in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
way it looks.
I won't go into the details, but my wife can attest, like I was 100%. If I thought Steve Gonzalez knew who did it, fucking, I was like, call me up and I'll fucking help you get this fucking straightened out. Like I'm with you. I want justice for your daughter. I think what happened was fucking horrendous. And if you tell me you know who did it, but he's telling you, I know it's Brian Koberger. Okay. Well, he's already taken care of. But if you thought it was somebody else, fucking say so. Because, you know,
they've never expressed. Tell me one time, one of you guys, Kawanda, anybody, coming from them, they said it. We know it's Brian. We know he's the one.
Yeah.
What proof have they ever expressed that it's him? Somebody tell me.
They don't know because they didn't read any of the documents. And there was no trial.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. He said it clearly. He said it clearly. He said we don't look at the documents. We don't look at all the stuff.
Right. We can't even at the plea hearing, we can't put him at the scene.
But
we
they
don't have a murder weapon. He has no motive.
Right. They have said clearly. We clearly know without a doubt it's Brian Koberger. And then they've never presented from them as a family any proof as to why they're making that statement. Never.
And then when someone who follows them with a good faith question about the hair, what do? Curse the person out.
Kindly go fuck yourself. Yeah,
I'm done. Like, they've run out of grace, and again, like, I don't think any of us need to keep repeating it. We respect them as parents, and we sympathize with their loss. But our actions are speaking for themselves. Like, their actions are speaking too.
Yeah, and I want to double on the kind of go fuck yourself comment. Here's what I still kind of like. For some reason, I still kind of sympathize with the Gonzalez family. I still kind of do, despite all their because part of me says their parents just grieving, right? So part of me still accepts that. But the duo that bothered me was the lawsuit against WSU, where Steve says, if you had just told, you know, Brian Koberger stalked them 23 times. That means Brian Koberger is repeating the pinging off the cell tower 23 times as proof Brian Koberger was stalking them. And if he really believes that, then he is insane to believe, like, that is not proof of stalking. But he's saying, he stalked them because he pinged off the cell tower 23 times. Like, oh my God. Like, if that literally is how you came to the conclusion Koberger is guilty,
and then
you're missing something.
Right. And then some of the stuff.
Yeah, and so like at this point, I feel like there's two options with how Steve and Christy are behaving. One, they are lying and they know they're lying. Or two, they're just really confused. And I understand, like, I probably wouldn't want to dive into the documents or whatever. And maybe they're confused and they trust law enforcement. And, like, you know, the internet can be sketchy or whatever. But either way, they are not reliable sources.
And that's the thing that bothers me. I'm going to say this with one in mind on the screen. We are all taught, I was taught as a child to trust law enforcement. So a lot of these families do go in believing law enforcement's the good guys. And so if law enforcement says, look, let us do our jobs, we got this, a lot of people will trust law enforcement. We're taught to trust law enforcement.
But I gotta, you know, I know there's a million things in this case.
I mean, that's just my general statement.
Kwanda.
Like, I think, like, you know, I really think that we as a community should stop saying that, you know, we respect them. We already said that. Okay, we said that, and it shows in our actions. But if they are willingly putting themselves out there again. No one asked them anything. You could literally say no comment.
Right.
Yeah.
Kwanda,
I got but they are intentionally doing this, and in this type of situation, you can't have it both ways. You got to pick one.
Right.
Hello?
I got a question for you. So, like, one of the distinct things for me is, like, you know, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, she can't. I don't think she can hear us.
Yeah. So my question
to you hear Kwanda?
Yeah, she just left. Go ahead and ask her question and assume she's
my question is, so to me the defining, you know, I know there's all kinds of different things with the cell phone data and the car and whatever, but for me, with my experience in law enforcement and all the stuff that I've responded to and been on scene for, and I know without question that, I don't know if this is the defining moment, but it's definitely probably big for Dago too, with all the stuff he's responded to. When I saw the photos that the FBI experts released from November 13th, and they're like, oh, look, Brian Kohlberger has his thumbs up and he had his shirt off. I've said it on here before. That was like a big moment for me, and especially with the documents and the info we have now. And you listen in this interview, what did Christy say? Oh, we know now that there were fights in all different, there were different fights. And we know that Xana fought for her life. There's no way. And what did we see in those photos? A little Band-Aid on Kohlberger's finger, not a scratch, nothing.
Right.
There's no way you're going to tell me that that Kohlberger killed all these people. Let's say he killed let's say 3 of them were sleeping. He killed them, whatever. They barely fought. He killed them. Xana fought. We know that. There's no way that whoever was involved in killing Xana, that without question has all kinds of scratches and all kinds of marks on them. BK had 0, nothing, not one mark. There's no way. There's no way that I believe that BK is the one that killed Xana.
That she fought with.
If BK was involved in this, maybe he was. He wasn't the one that was involved with Xana and Ethan.
But there is somebody out there, one that has scratches and cuts all over his face and his arms and his hands.
Yeah.
Did you see it back?
They've been cleared.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, let's get Kwanda back up. I think she was having some audio problems. We're kind of walking on one there. Kwanda, you there?
Yeah. Sorry. I think it's my iPad. I think I gotta stop joining on my iPad. It doesn't like it doesn't like this website.
Yeah, I got it.
But yeah.
So Kwanda, can you hear me?
Yep.
So what did you think? How did you feel when you saw the pictures from the FBI, when they were like going crazy, like, oh look, he's celebrating, and they showed all these pictures with his shirt off. And then I think shortly after that, they released a video of him going to Costco and trying to get a coffee and all that. To me, what I saw was there's no way this person was involved in, he definitely wasn't involved in fighting Xana.
No.
No way. So I just curious, like, what other people, what you felt, what other people think.
So I came in, I didn't actually lock into this case until this time last year because I think I heard about it, but I wasn't really following it because I wasn't really into true crime until this case. And then so I got in like right before the trial was supposed to start, and then there was no trial, and I was like, what the hell? And then like when I was hearing about the fact that they had no evidence, and I was like, what the fuck? And then so now I'm here. So I didn't see the photos when they actually came out in real time. I saw them after everything was over.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're obviously bullshit.
Yeah. Right. So the barnyards of the FBI husband and wife couple. So they did a whole bunch of interviews and podcasts where they were giving their opinion of certain things, which they don't even have. That's not even what their specialty is. The specialty was getting the cell phone data. Not actually analyzing, oh look, BK has his thumbs up. That means that he did this. That means he did that. But for him to not have a single scratch on him, to me, says everything.
Yeah. And also just like as an expert in STEM myself, like you know?
Absolutely.
Like
absolutely.
What these people are saying would not withstand a peer review. It would not. It would not.
I think that's why it didn't go to trial, and it infuriates me with people who still insist.
Yeah,
they were absolutely going to show the DNA at trial, you idiot. And I'm like, there's a document from the legal team saying don't use it at trial. It won't hold up at trial from one of their own experts. But you still believe they were going to fight the legal. And here's the argument: people will say I'm an idiot because it was still on the list of stuff. There's a list. People put on the list things that potentially could be shown at trial, but that doesn't mean they're going to show it at trial. So just because you see DNA evidence, for example, on the list of things that could be brought into trial, doesn't mean they were going to bring it into trial. They were advised, from my view of the documents, they were advised by their experts not to bring up the DNA evidence. So sure, they would still have it on the list, but I don't think they intended to show it at trial.
No, and let me tell you, that shit would have been thrown out. Well, 6 ways since Sunday, like what Leo always says.
They had no DNA evidence.
There would have been nothing else at that point, then, guys. There would have been nothing else. Hence the reason why they didn't go to trial. So
you have to listen. Turvey, he was very big on this, and I can tell you because I deal with it. I've dealt with it my whole career in law enforcement. Chain of custody is everything, and some people don't realize how important. So even let's say BK, let's say he had a whole bunch of DNA, that he actually had crazy DNA on that knife sheath. It still would have been probably thrown out because the chain of custody was broken, and there's a big problem. There's a big problem with that.
Yeah, and don't get me started on the DNA because I was crashing out. But I mean, between the policy, the law enforcement policy, the fact that the tests they ran were total bullshit from a scientific perspective, they had no evidence. There was no DNA evidence.
Yeah, and I think they knew the DNA evidence was done. I honestly think now that I've seen Brent Turvey's late admission on the hair that they wanted that he was saying you need to test the hair on the bed frame, the hair in Ethan Chapin's hand, the one that they listed as debris. That's when I think the prosecution went, we're screwed. Not only do we not, and in my opinion, not only do we not have Brian Kohberger's DNA, and they're going to contest the whole where the knife sheath was and whether it was on the floor or and that's going to go out the window. Yeah. And now we're going to have testing on hair that's going to show a possible it's not connection to Brian Kohberger, which leads any jury to go, well, if it wasn't Brian Kohberger's hair, then fucking how do you explain Ethan Chapin with that fistful of hair in his hand if it's not Kohberger's and one person?
They were going to have to prove and provide who that hair belonged to at that point, and if they didn't, that was going to be a monster question, which in turn would have completely, in my opinion, exonerated Brian right there, because they did test it against Brian's hair. So
it leaves,
yeah.
And it leaves us with the $1 million question: Why did he plead guilty? Why did Brian Kohberger plead guilty? If
I agree.
And what known in the game,
and everyone keeps talking about the hair in Ethan's hand. The hair. Don't forget about that hair with Roots,
right?
With Maddie and Kaylee. That may even be bigger.
I know. I don't know why Turvey didn't make that the bigger
Right.
issue, because I think it's the bigger issue, but he only seems
Yeah.
to focus on and same with the broken plea, Wickham. They both focused
Right.
on the Ethan Chapin's hair, but it's potentially a bigger thing, the clump of bloody roots in the bed with Kaylee and Maddie. And why isn't that the bigger
In the
issue?
victim's hand. In the victim's hand.
And
Yeah,
and that hair in the bed with the girls upstairs, folks, if you look at that hair, it very closely looks like it could match up to somebody else we've been talking to quite a bit lately. Okay? Color, absolutely, and the type of hair that it looks like absolutely could match to another person we've been talking about, which makes 10 times more sense now than Brian Koberger ever did. Okay? This is a person that actually has cuts and scratches all over their face and their hands and their arms, that went to the hospital, that died because of his injuries. That Brian Koberger went to the fucking doctor. He went to a barber's appointment, went back to work. Not one person even remotely noticed that he had any marks on him or even looked out of place, folks. The man the next morning, like you guys said, went for coffee. He didn't have a hair out of place.
Even if he had scratches or that's circumstantial.
It's less than circumstantial in this case, yes.
That means nothing.
I'm just curious. I don't want to go huge on this. What was the quote that I'm being challenged on here? Bill did not say that after the plea. Did not say what? I challenge you to show me a direct quote. What was the challenge that I or somebody said Bill Thompson said after the plea that is a lie? I'm curious about that, because maybe I do have the quote. Maybe I do have the quote.
He wants to know, he or she, whoever it is, wants to know where it was said that they didn't have anything on Brian.
Oh, that was Bill Thompson.
He's
asking about the statement that Bill Thompson said at the plea hearing.
So
read broken plea.
It wasn't worded that way. It was worded like this. It was worded like this. Let me do my best to tell you exactly how it was worded, because I was there and I remembered it very vividly because my jaw hit the fucking floor.
Right.
The state, I would like the state to give their recitation of the case they would have presented against Brian Koberger. And here's what Bill Thompson started with. Your Honor, the state's case, the recitation of the state's case is different from what you saw in the PCA and what the public's been told. Then he proceeded to tell you that while his cell phone pinged off the house near their place, that he admits lots of cell phones. He basically said lots of cell phones did. And he said, I can't place Brian Koberger at the house. I can only place him near the house. He said all of these things. What he was saying in the roundabout way was, we have nothing. Your Honor, the state's recitation is different than what the public heard and what the PCA had. We got him pinging off the cell house, but we can't place Brian Koberger at the scene. And that's where my jaw hit the ground, because you said you had DNA of Brian Koberger in the house.
Yep.
You're saying we can't place Brian Koberger at the house. We can only place him near the house.
The only thing they can do is
wait. And he also, just to add, because I know it was in the same, he said it around the same time. He also said about stalking too. There was no evidence of any stalking. I forget. I don't know what his exact words were, but.
And the only thing he could place him doing, guys, was the same thing that every other fucking person in that town does, is drive by the damn tower. That's it. He was driving by the town and through the town. That's the only way they can get him anywhere near that house. That was it.
Show that cell thing is not conclusive.
Right.
They don't have enough evidence to definitely say which way he was going.
Your friendly sodium dealer, we know.
No, he did not.
We know
he
Bill
did not.
He did not say that. No, he didn't.
Yeah, we know Bill Thompson thinks he has circumstantial evidence that places Koberger near the scene. What he said was he couldn't place Brian Koberger in the scene because he didn't have the DNA, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, and just read Broken Plea.
Yeah.
Just read that one section in Broken Plea. You know, like if you guys gonna come and like be bold and say stuff like that, at least attempt to fact check yourself.
Or don't even go to Broken Plea. Just go on YouTube, go to the plea hearing and go to the plea hearing. You could probably watch it on YouTube and go find exactly, and you can hear for yourself exactly word for word what Bill Thompson said, and you'll hear he said, you know.
I'm gonna end this. I'm not gonna keep fighting back and forth. Let me reiterate one point. The only The only thing they remotely had to put Brian Koberger in the house was one piece of DNA the size of a grain of sand on the knife sheath. They had blood from unknown male DNA that they tested and was not Brian Koberger's. They had a clump of hair in Ethan's hand that was not Brian Koberger's. They had all kinds of DNA of people who were not Brian Koberger. And the only thing they had on Brian Koberger that definitively put him in the house was a piece of DNA the size of a grain of sand, of which the DNA was junk science. So you can argue all you want that they were going to prove. Here's the thing. This is the last point I'm going to make. They can say whatever the fuck they want now because it'll never go to trial. So now they can tell you, oh yeah, we had him 6 weeks. They can repeat that over and over and tell you we had him 6 weeks on Sunday. They were never because we never went to trial.
They're not
so now
even
they can say
saying
anything
that.
Right.
And they
They're
refused.
literally saying we have no evidence.
They refused. They refused to test any of the other hair DNA, any of the other DNA they had. They refused to test.
And
so, what the fuck is that?
Right, there you go. And on top of that, if you want to go by the knife sheath there, first off, that grain of sand touch DNA that they had is not even allowed to be used. They doubled the size. Othram Labs did whatever they did to double the size. So that you can't use it for that. And then on top of that, there was unknown male DNA on the back of the knife sheath. Unknown male DNA. So
and
what the fuck about that?
Stop for a second on doubling the size for a second. The doubling the size, and again, I'm paraphrasing legal documents. Ann Taylor said, we don't understand how you doubled the size of the DNA sample. We need to understand how you doubled the size. And the response was, it doesn't matter how we did it because we don't intend to show it anyways. We have enough circumstantial evidence. We don't intend. They never intended to show the DNA. That's why when she said, my client has the right to see the evidence against him, and we need to know how you doubled the size of the DNA. And their response was, doesn't matter how we doubled it. We don't intend to show it because we have enough circumstantial evidence to put him there.
Bingo. Again, the DNA that they had that they could have tested, they refused in every aspect. Every single fucking piece of it. Because it was going to be Brian Koberger no matter what happened.
And a defendant absolutely has the right to see the evidence being presented before him. So they can't just say, trust us, bro, it is your DNA. He has the right, his defense team has the right to say, I need to know how you identified me from the DNA. Oh, trust us, bro, we got you. No, you have to show me. Show me how you develop.
Trust us, bro.
Like, trust me, bro.
Four life sentences. Yeah, bro, I trust you.
Let's not forget
burglary.
Let's not forget the car that didn't fucking belong to him either. How about that too? For the the cake with that shit.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You gonna
fucking fog light.
I don't know. Like I feel like we're seeing what September holds and see if Brian does anything on his own. And that's up to him. But I think we as a community should. I think we should start covering other cases too, since he's not going to do anything.
Yes.
But we still need to stay on this case because this is tied to something big. This is way bigger than the Brian, the Idaho 4, and we need to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, no, you're music to my ears because we do believe we need to cover other cases other than Idaho 4. There is life beyond Idaho 4, but as you also said, we need to be watching like a hawk what's happening in the Idaho 4, because if PCR does get filed, if this goes to, if this becomes a habeas corpus issue and Brian Koberger files a right of basically saying his constitutional rights were violated by the state of Idaho, it's going to be an enormous thing. But until that happens, maybe we could kind of look at some other cases that are also
what I've been doing.
There's more things going on. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I'm in the camp that does not trust Ann Taylor. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think Brian's going to do anything because I don't think that she is actually helping him.
What did Brett Turvey actually said those exact words? Brent Turvey said it's the exact words. Nothing's probably going to happen as long as Ann Taylor is still his attorney, but let's see who gets arrested during the criminal investigation. So there is a criminal investigation going on, and Turvey said, I don't think anything's going to happen as long as Ann Taylor is his attorney. I agree, but let's see who gets arrested. That's the tricky part. Will somebody get arrested?
Think somebody will actually get arrested, Lee?
I don't know.
Wasn't he referring to the leak, though?
Yes.
But that
he is.
They're also investigating both
No.
sides of it, Kawanda. They're investigating everybody
Oh my
criminally.
God, they're not investigating shit. What?
Well, that's what.
Why is it taking so damn
not
long to investigate it?
So you're gonna tell me that they're gonna investigate the leak, but they're not gonna investigate a quadruple homicide?
Right. I get you. I'm just saying.
They're
Yes,
lying.
ma'am.
They're not investigating anything. They don't give a fuck.
According to him, they did 2 investigations on the leak. They did an administrative that they shut.
Right.
They
Right. He said the
closed
administrative investigation's done, and now they're moving into a criminal investigation. And he says he
sealed.
knows because he's been contacted by the criminal investigation part. So so that's what he said. Now he could be wrong, but he said
did say
an administrative investigation's been done, and now they're moved it into the criminal investigation.
Okay, then release the report.
Not yet.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Until it's done, they won't. And he even said, and I think they're going to do the same thing with the criminal that they did with the administrative. It's done, closed, and sealed. He stressed those words. So they're going to do the same thing with the criminal version of it, I'm sure, and we'll never see that shit.
Yep.
That's exactly what they're going to do. Yes.
Criminal.
Yeah. We don't see half the shit that the criminal investigation
Potentially.
We don't know.
Brent Turby hinted it could. He hinted it could be Ann Taylor with criminal.
Yeah. Well, he even said that Ann. Yeah.
Because there's an argument to be made. Ann Taylor colluded with the prosecution to get a plea deal because it's still a win. The argument is there's still a win for a defense attorney to get death removed from your client. So she still wins just getting the death penalty removed, and the prosecution still wins because they got a conviction. So everyone wins with a plea deal. And so there's some people that argued that Ann Taylor's only role was to just get a plea deal. It wasn't about getting her client off on something that he didn't do. It was about getting a plea deal because then she gets a win and the prosecution gets a win and everybody's happy and the state makes a fuck ton of money.
Remember, he said also that Ann told him, Dr. Turby, if law enforcement contacts you, go ahead and talk to them. And he said, hell no, I ain't going to talk to them. So
why would I do that? Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's a questionable statement in itself, if you think about it.
Yeah, and then with Ann Taylor, like we gotta start believing them. Like when they show us who they are, we need to believe them. And like they're 3 strikes, they're out. Like they don't have the benefit of the doubt. And so like Ann Taylor, at this point, we know she has done nothing publicly. Except for writing a mean letter to Turvey. Right. She has not. She could do more publicly. Even if she was working on something behind the scenes, there are still things you can do publicly. She hasn't done one thing.
Why is it the only thing Ann Taylor's done publicly is to shit on her own defense attorney and her own defense expert? That's the only thing she's done publicly is to shit on her own defense expert.
Which is like unheard of. Which is like unheard of too.
Yes.
She could have even came out and said, everybody, the case is closed, everything's done, leave it alone or something, but she said nothing.
Yeah.
Which is very questionable.
Can he fire her?
He doesn't know.
It has to go through the courts, though. He can't just say you're fired. They have to actually run it through the court system, from my understanding.
And he has to someone has to advocate for him. Who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Who does he have available to advocate for him that actually has direct access to him?
Well, his parents, we're all here, and I would hope that his parents would watch some of this.
I know a lawyer.
His parents they're struggling health-wise.
Right.
I know a lawyer that would get to the truth, but he's John Ray.
A little busy, yeah. And let's not forget that you can't raise public funds to get a lawyer for Kohberger because most of the places I think have a stipulation you can't raise money for a killer. So because he's a convicted killer, you can't raise funds for a killer. So therefore, you can't even raise money to help get a lawyer for his wrongful conviction because platforms like GoFundMe say you cannot raise monies for a convicted killer.
Somebody in our community tried to start one and they shut it down immediately. So
yeah. So you're in.
I guess we better call Saul.
Yeah, right. That was good. I like that.
I think that's a great place to end for the evening. We're getting a little late. Our East Coasters probably need to go to bed and all those good things. Kawanda, thank you for coming on the show tonight. We'll let you go
always.
And we'll say goodnight as a group. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
You bet.
Bye.
All right, guys. Last parting thoughts. Anybody want to have a last parting thought before we leave?
Other than Better Call Saul, that was the best.
Better Call Saul is a great way to. I think we better call Saul.
I think it was a great conversation tonight. I think a lot of points were proven. And I fully agree with what you said. We're not here to disparage, to talk down about, to disrespect the families at all of any of the victims. We truly came to the table with this case just to, present it to the public until we saw what we saw. And at that point, we wanted to make sure that the justice is served. We want to look. We started looking for the problems in the case and started talking about them. And there's so many of them to back up the families and the victims to ensure they get real justice and the truth does come out. That's why we're here. So anybody that doesn't believe in that, I don't understand what you're not seeing, honestly and truly, because we disagree that we disagree that the investigation was done the correct way does not mean that we're against the families or the victims, folks. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, thank you, Dago. Thank you for joining. It was a lively conversation, and I'm glad you got to be a part of the conversation tonight because it was funner than shit. Robin or one, you got any parting thoughts?
Just, it was a wild ride tonight, and we appreciate all you guys come out, and to everyone who gave us gifts tonight in one way, shape, or form, whether it was super chats or the little jewels or anything. We appreciate that so much. And this is what our community is all about, so that we can come and debate these things and get different perspectives. So we always appreciate that. As long as we can be respectful, that's what we're here for.
And I have to say, I love this kind of I love these subtle jokes right here.
Yeah,
that's funny shit.
I just wanted to, double down on what I almost was going to call you Rhonda, Robin. What Robin said, we love the community. We love to hear what you guys think and have to say. Hope to give you some insight in some of this stuff. And thank you to our wonderful mods from both channels, Dago and our side. I know it was a little spicy tonight, and we do appreciate all of you on the back end. You are important to the channel as well.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. And for me, I will say you will see some of us again tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But don't forget, tomorrow at 10 a.m., I'm supposed to do I have the energy for this? Tonight was boring me out. But tomorrow at 10 a.m., I'm supposed to do a live dive into new content that I'm going to watch and discover with you in real time. We'll do that at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. And then we'll see you again at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Crimes After Dark. Have a great night, everybody. See you guys later.
Have a great one,
Good
folks.
night.
Thank you,
guys.